If you are seeing this video, it means one of two things has happened. Either one, my lawyers negotiated with Emily's lawyers and we reached a private settlement which resulted in some form of retraction, or two, I took Emily to court for defamation and came out the other side. This video is being made for posterity to show I didn't do what I was accused of, and to show that what Emily has accused me and my husband of not only never happened to her, but could not have happened. This video is being made to simply defend my and my husband's name and prove we did not do the things we were accused of. I am going to go through Emily's statements point by point with evidence to show how she has lied on screen, and I'm going to leave links in the description box down below to everything I'm talking about. That way you can verify the authenticity. The only things I will not be linking will be Emily's Facebook accounts, of which there are 3, where she goes by different names, because they are all seemingly active. 99% of the evidence shown in this video is going to be from Emily's own accounts, including posts from her Emily Artful YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. All of these are publicly accessible, all of these were found after she made these false claims, and all of these accounts link directly back to Emily and no one else. These accounts do affirm parts of her story, but they completely debunk and disprove others. I will show them in their entirety so you can draw your own conclusions. I will also be including archival links, seeing as Emily herself has stated she has deleted all her evidence involving this. Emily's narrative that I stalked her is in part made, I believe, so that when I show proof of her lies from her own accounts, she can further claim that that in and of itself is stalking. Emily created a false narrative, so no matter what is said after, even if I debunk all of her claims, she can still claim that she is the victim. That is why I made the decision to handle this legally before I ever responded back publicly. Any person claiming to be me before this on any other account was not me. I only spoke to one person once on Instagram, that being Tipster, who I will address more thoroughly at the end. While Emily states she deleted all the evidence, that is clearly untrue. I have found plenty of evidence that shows that what she said happened never actually happened, all of which was found after she made her video, and the majority of it is from her own accounts, meaning she had access to proof that actively went against her claims, and she purposely hid it in order to slander my husband and I. In response to being asked for any proof, she stated that she wouldn't lie about this because it would put her career and reputation on the line, and that my estranged relative and a former friend who physically abused me would also not lie about this, as it would hurt their public image, despite neither of them being public-facing people. I will also address them at the end as well. I will be using Emily's full legal names sporadically through this video, seeing as Emily herself places it in the description box of some of her videos, and it's publicly known. This video is going to be heavily itemized, so feel free to skip to whatever chapter of this video you are interested in. Or if you would prefer to read what I am saying, a Google Doc with the script and screenshots will be accessible in the description. However, the document itself is 91 pages long as of when I'm writing this. Before I go any further, I want to quickly take the time to point out how Emily talked about her relationship with Anthony on her YouTube channel prior to making this video. In her My Ex-Girlfriend Destroyed My Art video, Emily states that she has only had 2 bad relationships in her entire life, that being with a mutual friend named Sean, who she stated cheated on her, and the 13-year-old she dated when she was 17. She goes on to say this about all of her other relationships.
Now, I don't know if you guys are getting sick of me talking about my exes. I've done a few videos about my love life in general, but now that I kind of think back at it, most of my exes were awesome and cool, and I'm still friends with them, or at the very least, cordial. Now, only 2 of my exes are just completely unbearable. I have no desire to ever get in contact with them ever again, and I have had about 7 relationships of substance in my entire life. The first ex that was just a piece of shit was the one that cheated on me, and his name, we call him Sam. So I'm gonna go ahead and put an annotation for that video right here. I definitely suggest you go over and watch that. It was quite an experience. That's all I can say. The other ex is who this story is about. Penny was a beautiful, charming young girl. We got along incredibly well. She was exactly my type, both physically and mentally, or so I thought. And the only possible foreseeable downfall to our relationship at that time was that she was a little bit immature, and she was a little bit immature because she was 4 years my junior.
This video obviously post-dates her dating Anthony by 5 years, seeing as it came out in 2016, which makes me skeptical of her claims that their relationship was ended with physical threats and she was scared of him and Bryce. This video also post-dates her relationship with her ex from her I Dated a Sociopath video, where she said that relationship was, quote, the worst she had ever been in, and that he scarred her as a lover, as a friend, and as a person, and that she has never gone through anything as bad as that or as traumatic as that.
This guy is really really messed up, and I feel like we're cool now. We don't talk for kind of an important reason, which I will get to later. But, I don't hate this guy. I don't feel resentment towards him. I more feel I have sympathy for him. And I was really close to him at one point and felt really close to him. But I feel that closeness was completely fabricated just because he needed stuff from me. So he injured me greatly. And, subject of many great songs, thank goodness. But I'd never been hurt like that before. I'd never been hurt as a friend, as a lover, as a sister, as, just pull around like that.
Why that was left out of the ex-girlfriend video or any of her videos, I do not know. Why Anthony was not mentioned as being a terrible relationship at that point, I do not know. Emily and Anthony dated for 3 to 4 months in 2011. Emily was 19, Anthony was 18. Her Twitter from that time affirms that. _meteor showers is babbling nonsense beside me at 1 in the morning. Wouldn't expect anything less, I just hope he doesn't do this at the altar. Meteor showers was the Twitter handle that Anthony was using at the time because it was a band name he went by. Here's Emily affirming that that's a prior band name on Twitter. Here's the Facebook page for Annabelle Wanted, which features her own artwork showing that she went by this name as well. For a list of aliases she has gone by, skip to part 0. During the short relationship, Emily ended up moving into Anthony's grandfather's home. This was corroborated by Anthony's grandfather. This can also be corroborated by a blog post Emily would make in 2013, 2 years later, talking about how she has a history of moving in with her long-term boyfriends. Emily was not abusing drugs as she stated, and this is known because Anthony himself has a history of past drug abuse before he met Emily and has a zero-tolerance policy for that in his life. Anthony has been sober for over 10 years. We can call upwards of 20 people who have all had the same experience with Anthony because he's exceedingly cautious with drug use. Some of these people are also mutual friends with Emily. Emily was well aware of this at the time and was not using drugs while dating Anthony. According to various social media accounts Emily ran between the ages of 13 and 20, Emily didn't do drugs and was in fact very against drug use. She was not addicted to cocaine at 14 like she said, and she never abused drugs until after Anthony and her dated and broke up. Here's a post that she made after she and Anthony had broken up where she states wholeheartedly she's against drug use and against what Amy Winehouse had done to her body, that being all the toxins she put inside it. If she was actively using drugs at the time, this is not a statement she would be making. If she was abusing drugs at this time, Anthony, his grandfather, or his grandfather's girlfriend would have seen any indication of this. There's a history of other family members abusing drugs in their family, and they are very aware of what that looks like, and they would not have allowed it in their home. Emily framing this as two people attacking her over past drug use makes no sense, given Anthony's history and the fact that more than half of my extended family has their own issues with drug use, and my parents met in AA. However, when they were dating, she was dealing with intense mental health issues, of which she told Anthony. She has also posted on social media before, during, and after dating Anthony about her mental health history, saying she's bipolar, has BPD, was schizophrenic, has OCD, suffers short-term memory loss, has an apparent brain injury, and more. Here are some of the posts. Ha ha ha. Actually, my OCD isn't as bad as the kind they flash on television. I got brain damage and you don't. Nah 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 shit. 5 facts about me. I have too many mental problems to even type. 3 things I want to do in the next 12 months. Hang myself at a park, carve Zach's name into my arm, make love to Zach. 50 unknown facts. I have OCD. I fear my mother singing. I'm 100% serious. 69. Forgotten someone's name? Short-term memory loss mean anything to you? She stated in her now deleted video about how she dated a sociopath that she was misdiagnosed as bipolar when she was 9.
We immediately bonded on that. He was diagnosed bipolar, and I at one point was diagnosed bipolar when I was very young. That diagnosis has since proven to be very false. You would think when you diagnose a 9-year-old with bipolar disorder, you would check up on that, but that's aside the point.
And on Facebook in 2009, before dating Anthony, she spoke about how she had been prescribed lithium at a certain point. Is feeling as if the general optimistic feeling of improving self has gone. Man, do I love being drugged up with 1,200 milligrams of lithium and still noticeably bipolar. Hey, I like you as is. You do seem happier and more in control compared to last year. In a post from the Awkward Years Project from 2015, she also stated that she had to take a medication since puberty, which I am unsure what that is. On Emily's high school Facebook, I also found examples of her threatening violence and talking about how she had previously been violent. In this post, she said, had her right hook finally come
in handy. Haha, bitch. A friend says, what happened? Emily replies, violence and possibly a dental bill for someone who is not me. Also, LOL. However, she then posts this on December 7th, 2009. Emily has found out negative referrals in high school heavily reflect on colleges everywhere and feels foolish for not thinking of this before. So basically, I'm fucked for college right now. She follows it up with this comment, as in, put on your record and if enough accumulated to the local police files, meaning that she had assaulted enough people that it might have been put on police record.
During this time, when she was living with Anthony, Emily's behavior would cause Anthony and his grandfather to hide the knives in the home for their own safety. She would throw tantrums calling Anthony and his friends slurs, which is not uncommon due to her own post history on DeviantArt where she would say them often, and her behavior would come across as erratic and dangerous, not just to Anthony but to everyone present. We have contacted multiple eyewitnesses who were more than willing to go to court with this. Emily also stated herself that she used to behave this way, documenting these outbursts online since middle school, where she would continuously hurt herself and talk about hurting others. I just slammed my head on my desk until my head was throbbing and it felt like it was bleeding, and it gave my head a good rattle, so I fell asleep on the floor that night because I was too out of it to get ready for bed. We will focus more on these posts later. Emily and Anthony dated for a couple months, and during that time, Anthony ended up getting a job at the movie theater I was working at, Cinelux Plaza Theater in Campbell, California. Anthony and I met briefly before his interview, however, we didn't work together until summer of 2011 after Emily and Anthony had broken up. I have never spoken to Emily, we never waved back and forth at each other, she is confusing me with someone else. There was only one time when I technically saw her in person, but it was from a distance when she had passed out in the parking lot behind the movie theater after getting into an argument with Anthony. This is the incident Emily is misremembering as happening after they broke up. However, at the time they were very much together. There are multiple eyewitnesses to this occurrence. There were other moments during their relationship where Emily publicly threatened Anthony, sexually harassed other women, and we have contacted the people who were present at that time. The relationship was short-lived with them breaking up after a couple months. However, during the relationship, Emily took it upon herself to get a tattoo of Anthony and herself as chinchillas on her arms with the finished word for love under it. She posted a picture of the tattoo on her Twitter page, again Annabelle Wanted. The photo is blurry mostly due to the camera at the time, but she purposely gave the male chinchilla little emo bangs which Anthony had. She only owned one chinchilla at the time named Archimedes, and she did not own a female chinchilla. Though later she would get one and claim this tattoo is for that. She would say that the chinchilla was her and Anthony's kid. She continued this action with all her other boyfriends after Anthony and her broke up, as seen here. Here's her doing it a year or so after her and Anthony dated with her next boyfriend Carl. This is another Twitter account she had under the name Annabelle Lee. This was another band name of hers. And here's her doing so in 2015 while she was living with her boyfriend Bob. This post is still live on Instagram. Shortly after this tattoo, their relationship ended. Anthony broke up with Emily. The reason they broke up was because of her erratic behavior and nothing else. Emily also lied when she said how the breakup occurred, saying that Anthony's friend, who she calls Brandon, whose real name is Bryce, told her that she was a worthless whore who he was going to curb, stomp, and kill. This never happened. Instead, Anthony broke up with Emily himself twice. However, Emily wouldn't listen to him and kept coming to his home, kept showing up at his friend Bryce's house, and would try to go places Anthony was going to be, including once to his work where she had to be escorted out. Ironically, she would not take no for an answer. Only because she wouldn't take no for an answer and wouldn't listen to Anthony, did Anthony ask Bryce to tell her to leave Anthony alone, and confirm that he wanted the relationship to end.
It's also important to note that Bryce is an autistic man who loves movies, video games, and art, so much so that during the time frame Emily is talking about, Bryce would often wear halo armor that he built himself when he was out and about. It was kind of like cosplay before cosplay was a thing. She also goes in to frame his interest in the Batman movies, specifically Heath Ledger's Joker, as being a sign of his insanity, even though he's simply a film buff who loves Christopher Nolan and went to school for film.
Like I had mentioned before, Andrew and his friend Brandon discussed at length about going into their old high school and shooting it up. They also completely idolized Heath Ledger's Joker from The Dark Knight. They just thought he was like the most chaotic evil, the most amazing, cool villain ever.
Her framing him this way is incredibly inappropriate and borderline ableist. Bryce has never owned any real weapons besides prop weapons for his cosplays and for his films, and has never threatened Emily's life at any point, and he will be making his own video on the accusations Emily leveled at him.
Bryce at no point threatened her. In fact, they remained Facebook friends during that time, even when Anthony and her were not speaking. Z-Pro Films is a brand account that was run by Bryce, which she heavily interacted with, and still follows on her currently active Facebook. The dates on these posts are important as this occurred when Emily and Anthony were not speaking. Here's Bryce tagging Emily in a post on August 2nd, 2012. Here's him tagging her in a post from June 26, 2012. And these are her likes from a defunct Facebook and her currently active one where she still follows his brand account, something you would would not do if you thought this man was really going to assault you. Bryce had no personal issues with her until she tried to slander him in this video. In going over Emily's statements, I found that Emily brought up on Twitter after the fact that she was, quote, close to Anthony's step-grandma and had bonded with her during the relationship. This is completely untrue, and his step-grandmother has never met Emily, seeing as his grandfather was dating another woman at the time Emily and Anthony were together. It is impossible for any things that she has said in this Twitter feed to have happened. Anthony's step-grandmother also didn't use Facebook until very recently, seeing as she is a former sitting judge, and it would have opened her up to threats and harassing communication. Emily has never been close to any member of Anthony's family. Emily and them were not friendly, and Anthony's family did not and do not like Emily. They encouraged Anthony to break up with her, and they stand behind us 100%. Emily also stated that she sent Anthony's step-grandmother a Facebook message, allegedly saying that she believed Anthony was harassing her at one point. We reached out to confirm this, and Anthony's step-grandmother says no such message was ever received. It should also be noted that at that time, Emily was well aware that Anthony had separated from that side of the family and they were not speaking. Emily took it upon herself to send them what she thought was private, personal information of his in order to hurt him. After Emily and Anthony broke up, Emily dated a couple other people who both Anthony and I know. There are specifically 2 people who she dated between when she and Anthony broke up, stopped talking, and when they reconnected after she got sober, which I will be talking about now. Despite her saying she's friends with all her exes except Anthony, we have proof of her accusing a plethora of her past partners, and in some cases their current partners, of abuse as well, some of which can be found on her YouTube channel as recently as last year. The first person would be Sean. Emily made a story time about this man that is still live on her channel, claiming that he cheated on her with a crazy bitch who ended up sending her a fake cease and desist because she was so insecure about Emily.
Anyway, I received a message from a girl, let's call her Celine, and let me quickly paint a picture of her. She was at the time, probably 18-year-old Korean girl with bleach blonde hair who fucking loved to party. Every single picture on her Facebook was of her and her bunch of fucking white chick friends doing the peace sign covered in that rave candy, you know, the jewelry that you wear to rave. I don't fucking know. But all of her pictures were like poorly lit with flash and just all of her friends like, yes, give it, yes, I just want to party. Wow. This is not where this story ends, my friends. Oh no. 2 months after we broke up and I hadn't heard anything from him, I hadn't tried to make any contact with him or any of his friends, I get a letter in the mail and it's this shitty like Microsoft Word but with like weird font typed up letter thing. It didn't look official or like it could hold up in a court of law at all. And it was basically a copy paste cease and desist letter saying like, oh, you need to leave Sam alone. And if you do not stop trying to contact Sam, he will contact his lawyer. And I was just like, wait, what the fuck? I haven't even talked to this guy in 2 months. I basically just threw the letter away and forgot about it until about a full year after I received that letter. One of our mutual friends that I remained in touch with, I like just had brought it up off a whim, like, oh my God, I totally forgot about this. And they're like, oh wait, nobody told you? And I'm like, nobody told me what? So Sam didn't even send that letter. Celine sent that letter to my house. How she got my address, I don't even fucking know. That bitch was crazy because since he had cheated on me with her, when they got together, she was hyper paranoid that he was still talking with me, even though he obviously wasn't. So she sent a letter almost in Sam's name, just in case we were still talking. And even after her many displays of insanity, he still stayed with her.
The other guy we will talk about, we will call Carl, who she made a story time about how his ex-girlfriend was again so crazy she faked a suicide attempt and said she was going to accuse him of rape, who he ended up getting back together with and marrying.
Hey everyone, my name is Emily, and today we're going to be doing a sketchbook story time about my ex-boyfriend, psycho ex-girlfriend. A few years after high school, I would think a few years, roughly, I met this guy, and we are going to call him Dave. And Dave had an ex-girlfriend, and we are going to call her Vicky. Dave and Vicky had been separated for a good year. And when Dave and I met, he, made sure to let me know that he has an ex-girlfriend who has a few screws loose, was the term he used. We were hanging out one night, and he had somehow cued her into our whereabouts, or that we were hanging out, and he gets a call from her telling him that she is going to kill herself, and in her suicide letter she is going to write that it is all his fault. So he panics, as any fucking normal human being would, drops me off at home, goes to her house. I don't hear from him until the next morning. This bitch took 7 Advil. That is literally 1 more Advil than the daily recommended fucking dose. That's not going to kill you. Why it bothers me so much. And again, who am I to say if she was serious or not? But why it bothers me if she wasn't is because suicide is such a fucking serious thing. And if you are using it to trap someone, you are a psychopath and you are part of the fucking problem. After this whole problem, this girl starts harassing me on Facebook. She created 4 accounts, mind you, with her picture on all 4 accounts, but different names. Smart girl. All, pumping out those really generic mean girl comments. You're fat, you're ugly, I'm so much prettier than you, he'll never love you, blah, 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 whatever. He calls her up, says, if you don't stop, I am going to file a restraining order to get your fucking ass off mine. So she, of course, bawls and says, well, then, here's another pet peeve of mine. She says, well, then I'm going to say that you raped me. And about a year after I left him, I found out through the grapevine that they got back together and she got pregnant, and now he's trying to leave, but she's pregnant, and I don't know. I don't fucking know.
Both of these stories are untrue and are oddly in line with things that Emily herself has stated she has done to her own boyfriends via social media. Carl allegedly got Emily into heroin, according to her. However, much like Anthony, their relationship did not last long, with them breaking up in August. Shortly after that, her relationship with heroin also ended. According to her DeviantArt page, by February 4th, 2013, she was already 5 months sober from heroin, meaning she got clean from heroin in November 2012. So my doctor recently prescribed me Substatex, which in my opinion is a lot better than Subsicone. Why? Because it kind of gets you dopey. Honestly, that's a terrible reason why it makes it better. And without sound too harsh, it's definitely an addict's way of thinking. Once an addict, always an addict. However, I like to be positive and constructive by adding, but you don't always have to be an addict who uses. To my followers, my old addiction isn't a secret, but I am constantly reminded every day why I'm happy being sober. My art. And I try to remind everyone at meetings that the things they have abandoned to get their fix are the things that will keep you sober when you're out of luck, and I stick to that. It's a rare occurrence to run into an otaku who was also a heroin addict. At least I'm the only one I've ever heard of. But the fact that I have stayed true to who I am throughout the coursing of this disease helps me identify more with my art. Sorry for this journal being so focused on such a terrible topic. I understand, to those who didn't know this, if you don't want to be my friends anymore. When I was using, it was a terrible thing, but I am much happier sober and have not even come close to relapsing, so I'm happy with who I am. Oh, and by the way, 5 months sober today. That's the reason for the subject matter. To all my friends who've helped me along the way, I thank you. I can only hope to be a good friend to other addicts, just coming off their high horse. No pun intended. Emily has confirmed that November 2012 as her sobriety date, specifically from heroin, multiple times on her YouTube channel, Instagram, Twitter, and more. All the posts I will be citing about her sobriety date being in 2012 are from after 2015, which is when she is now claiming she actually got sober from heroin, meaning she would be purposely giving a false date for no other reason. In her deleted I Dated a Sociopath video, uploaded in 2016, she describes how she dated a person with a history of past drug use who was abusive towards her, and that she was, quote, 3 years sober from heroin at that time.
He confided in me and very openly and honestly told me that he had just come out of rehab and that he had suffered with drug addiction his entire life. And I think some people would say this is a red flag, but I never have and never will see it as a red flag. I guess this is a great time to be honest. I was a drug addict myself for many years, and I have been in recovery for 3 years and have been clean obviously for 3 years, and I understand the struggles that come with being a drug addict. So
this is another video in which she accuses a past ex of abusing her, making this the 8th person she has accused of abuse in videos that I have cited. So in 2016, when the video was initially released, release, Emily was stating that she was sober from specifically heroin as early as 2012, which lines up with this blog I'm showcasing right now. She also has a post on Instagram that is still live, stating once again she got sober in 2012, more specifically November of 2012. The post, which includes her singing an original song called It's Not Good For You, is captioned, "When you write a song to remind yourself to keep going, hashtag singing, hashtag it's not good for you, hashtag sober, hashtag clean living, hashtag it works if you work it, hashtag sounds, hashtag Emily Artful." I will play the clip in the entirety right now because she specifically states 3 years in November, that being her sobriety date from heroin.
Over and over, eternally sleeping. I just can't watch you burn. And do you remember 3 years in November? It's not good for you now, and it will never be again. I know you can feel the ache.
All of her posts from 2012 to before her video on My Husband and I state that she became sober from heroin in 2012. However, in her video against My Husband and Myself, Emily states that she only really got sober in 2015. If she was really using up until the year before making all of these posts, joining YouTube and writing the song, why would she not be honest and state that? Why parade around an untrue sobriety date for the past 5 years, especially when nobody was asking? In response to people questioning her, she posted these tweets stating she has documents proving that she was using up until 2015. She has never posted proof that that is the case. Since her program director has the evidence, she would have put that forward. I personally believe she's changing the date in order to accuse my husband of an assault that could not have happened for multiple reasons, not least of which is the fact that we can prove she wasn't using heroin when they were in contact. Emily only used heroin between May of 2012 to October of 2012, 6 months in total. Here's a post from that time where she's commenting on a photo of heroin. During this time, she was not talking to Anthony. However, Anthony and her did reconnect the month she got sober. They tried to meet up to talk about collaborating on music, and on November 7th, 2012, Emily posted this: "That awkward moment when you're supposed to meet someone without a phone somewhere, and that somewhere doesn't exist anymore." That somewhere she is talking about is Johnny Rockets, the one that used to be in Westgate Mall in Saratoga, and that someone is Anthony. This would be the first time they were meeting up after the breakup and her getting clean. They didn't end up meeting up on this day, as seen in this post, as well as this Facebook interaction between Emily and Anthony from his now defunct account, where she states she misses him and they make plans to see each other that week. This post is from November 28th, meaning they didn't meet up until December. Emily was also dating another person during this time, as seen in this Facebook post from November 26, 2012, 2 days before talking to Anthony. When Emily was actively using prior to November, according to that same blog, she was living with her ex-boyfriend, not at her father's home. She only moved back into her father's home sometime after March, about 6 months after getting sober, according to another one of her blog posts saying as much. "I've had to move back in with my dad, which isn't so bad because he's kinda lonely in this house all by himself, and he loves my dogs and chinchilla like they're his grandkids, but that kinda sucks because I'm used to living on my own. And by on my own, I mean with a boyfriend. All of my roommates have been long-term BFs. That means Anthony could not have snuck in through her bedroom window in her father's home to assault her while she was high on heroin, the way she stated, seeing as she was never high in that house and didn't move back until she was 6 months into her sobriety. And she kept that sobriety date of November 2012 up until she made a video slandering my husband and I." To summarize, Emily was actively using heroin while living with an ex. She got clean in November, started dating a separate person, and Anthony and her reconnected as friends. They tried to meet up publicly on November 7th, but that fell through. And they made plans on December 28th to see each other in December. Around 6 months later, she moved back into her father's home, where she remained sober, according to her statements from that time until 2021. If Anthony had come over to her father's house at any time after that, she would have been at least 6 months sober off of heroin. She also changed her story to state she invited him over at some point, looking to hook up, but then she was too high to consent.
She then changed her statement again on Twitter to say he came over and she was so high that she was in and out of consciousness, meaning she could not have let him in. Regardless, neither could have happened based on her social media posts.
Her statement about how Anthony took advantage of her is a lie. It's not the first time she has appeared to lie about an ex or romantic interest abusing her. This is not a he said, she said. Her own statements from the past 10 years go against what she's claiming now, and she purposely withheld all these statements in order to slander us. One thing that Emily states in her video is that online harassment was never leveled at her until after she started working with Anthony professionally. She doesn't directly give a date, but she does say it started when they worked on the song Stardust together, which would be in 2014, 2 years after they reconnected. She supposes this is because Anthony was going to put me on the song, and she told him I was a bad singer and he took me out to put her in my place. This is categorically false in every way. Emily worked on multiple songs with Anthony, and they worked together from 2013 to 2014. The song she is referencing didn't come out until 2014, and it was the last song they worked together. They had worked on another song, Autumn's Moment, in 2013. She was not in the music video for Autumn's Moment because of the online harassment she was already receiving for posting content under the name Emily Sugarfruit, harassment that Anthony actively defended her against. We will come back around to this in a moment. When Stardust came out, I was not in contact with Anthony because I was actively dating another person. I have also never been asked to sing on any of his music because I do not sing. The person who was on the original version of Stardust that she heard was not me. It was a person named Lanaya. Anthony had taken music courses in college with her and asked her to be on the song because he liked her voice. She was also not taken off of the song because Emily stated she couldn't sing or because she faced harassment. Rather, Lanaya's boyfriend wasn't comfortable with her being on the song with another man, so Anthony respectfully took her out. Anthony then asked Emily to be on the song. She was simply the second choice. Her claiming this is the first time she noticed harassment is also false, because Emily herself has written multiple blog posts, statuses, and more about how she, even before she met Anthony, was being stalked and harassed. Going as far back as when she was in middle school, posting on DeviantArt under the names Gothic Kazooie, X Gizmo X, and Clash City Rockers, she would often post about how she was being harassed by a group of people, some who even went so far as to hack her account and send hate to her friends. She also did this before she and Anthony started working professionally together after she got sober in 2012. On her Facebook, Emily wrote this post on December 9th, 2012. So I'm finally writing something about the girl who pretty much tormented me all through high school and even after, an underclassman at that. She is a compulsive liar and ruined a lot of my relationships. She liked to flirt with my boyfriends behind my back, was commonly known for telling them lies like I was addicted to meth, I had STDs, I had the HIV virus, I cheated on them, I was a psycho stalker who was trying to get pregnant so they never leave, etc. So who's ready for a little column of me being motherfucking real? This shows the harassment she claims to be a victim of started in high school at least 3 years before Anthony knew her. I also have not found any proof of the harassment other than this statement. I personally don't know if any of this actually happened, but it's incredibly strange that she has had multiple instances of this happening in her life, all while no evidence of said stalking actually exists. Of note is the fact that Bryce is one of the people who commented on this post, and he said letting it go is the best thing you can do, which goes directly against the crazy evil caricature she framed him as. Emily did start to receive actual harassment in 2013 when she was 21. However, this was because of her time in the YouTube anime community as Emily Sugarfruit. For some reason, she confused her posting on this channel as her doing cam work, even though those are two separate things she did at completely different times, almost a year apart. She absolutely did do cam work a year after she quit YouTube, between June 2014 and July 2014, according to her camming Twitter account. She didn't do it because she was forced into it by another abusive ex, though, as she states.
At this point, I was doing some webcamming, not exactly something that I was doing of my own free will. A lot of that wasn't, but that's not Andrew and Shannon's fault, but
as she is still friends with the man she lived with while she was doing cam work. More on this in part 5. Emily went by the name Sugarfruit on multiple YouTube channels, Instagram, Facebook, DeviantArt, and 2 separate Twitters, all of which are linked below. The only accounts that have been deleted are her 3 YouTube pages, Sugarfruit, Emily Sugarfruit, and Sugarfruit Vlogs. The Sugarfruit one was her main channel, and her URL was youtube.com/EmilyLuera. This is important to note because she would go on to say that this channel would lead to her being stalked and attacked online for years, like in this post from 9gag.
I had a YouTube channel before. I don't know if you guys knew this. I did anime reviews, and the community was just very aggressive and mean and stalkery, and it wasn't a great community.
According to Emily's story, she was uploading to this channel while she was living with an abusive ex, being forced to do cam work, and then she was fired from a job because Anthony and I. She stated that her getting that job was the only way out of the abusive home she was in, and when she was fired, she was made homeless. Almost every portion of the story is untrue based on her social media from that time. Please keep in mind that these receipts prove part of her story, that she was fired. However, Emily opted not to show the receipts because all of them go against Anthony and I being a part of this in any capacity and would lead people to finding proof that we could not have done this, which is why she purposely withheld this. According to her Instagram, as well as the previously mentioned DeviantArt journal, 6 months after getting sober, she was living with her dad in a very lovely home, where he would buy her art supplies, let her do what she wanted. She stated herself he would let her stay there as long as she needed to, rent-free. Before now, I live with my dad, and he's really chill with letting me stay here as long as I need need to, which is awesome. Not to mention he likes One Piece and loves reading my comics and stuff, so he's a big help with the progress of the manga so far. And not to mention, he supplied me with food, and just the other day, he brought me a few Prismacolor markers that he knew I needed. Bright colors and everything, no repeats. And I nearly died. It was so nice. If she was abused and forced to do cam work in 2013, when she was fired, the way she stated, this would be the man doing it, not an abusive ex. It should also be noted that her relationship with her father is great, according to the video she made where she talks about him driving her and all of her things to Omaha, Nebraska to move in with her new husband in 2016.
It is a big thing. Moving cross country, spending 3 days in an RV with my dad and my spouse, that's a big thing. That's a big deal. And he'll be here next Wednesday. And then the plan was that he was going to fly home, and then it would be 2 weeks until I moved. He would fly back out here. My dad would drive down with the RV, and we'd load up the RV, and we'd drive cross country to Omaha. Hello everyone, my name is Emily, and this is a little bit of a different video. I have spent the last week moving cross country with my dad, 3 dogs, and my fiance, Mr. Artful. It has been incredibly stressful, so I really haven't had a ton of time to film a video for you guys.
We can also see that she does move back in with her father from her Instagram because her room in her father's home has bright pink walls and the rest of the house has a kind of muted wallpaper. In July, she started dating someone who appeared on her Instagram in a photo with her dogs. We will call this man Bob for the majority of this video. If her story about being forced into camming is true, this would be the man who did it, because she actually started to do camming while living with this man and his mother. However, I will prove this story also is untrue. On the Sugarfruit channel, Emily ended up doing a couple of controversial things, like posting an anime review naked in a bathtub. Emily states now in 2021 that she was high on heroin when she did this, but as established, that cannot be true. The video of her in a bathtub caused a lot of anger in the community because the YouTube anime community is filled with mostly men who saw Emily doing that as a cheap way to get subscribers and attention.
I had a YouTube channel before. I don't know if you guys knew this. I did anime reviews, and the community was just very aggressive and mean and stalkery, and it wasn't a great community.
I was able to find this video from April 2013 that confirms what happened. This video has her full legal name in the tags, as well as notes that she did in fact do a nude review, and also notes how the members of the community were behaving inappropriately at the time, confirming the harassment she was receiving and why she was receiving it.
What up YouTube, G4 Leader here once again, back with another late night video for you guys, and tonight's topic will be females in the anime community, and how the niggas act when they see these females in the anime community. What made me want to talk about this shit is because I've been noticing a trend from this shit since 2009 of the way people were on there, the way they treated her, the way they talked to her. Basically, the thirsty ass niggas on YouTube ran this female away. And I've noticed that trend with a lot of female YouTubers, that the male YouTubers would hound the fuck out of these female reviewers and shit, whether they review anime, video games, etc. And I feel like, why? I feel like it's very uncalled for to be that thirsty. I just want to know what these niggas' thought process be. Do they think, oh, well, I'm gonna subscribe her, I'm gonna add her, I'm gonna message her, and then she gonna give me some pussy? What the fuck do you think is going to come of this from you subscribing her? This girl, you don't know what location she's from, you don't know her age, you just know she likes anime and she's half naked.
But anyways, it wasn't. It was a One Piece episode review from a girl. And I'm like, well, it's a female One Piece fan. Maybe someone cool like Zoe Redley. I thought she was cool when she was doing it. Clicked the video, and the bitch is in a bathtub naked. And I'm not even going to tell you who it is. For one, I don't know who it is. I didn't even look up the YouTube name. And two, it doesn't help by promoting that shit because it just only substantiates the problem I'm having. What the fuck is up with this hoeing shit? It's literally, I saw the girl and I watched the full video of her in the bathtub doing a One Piece episode review, and it was a legitimate review. And I'm just sitting there going, why are you in the tub? And it's like, this is what you get when I don't like an episode. I'm like, so I get to see you naked in the tub because you don't like an episode. I'm so tired of this hoeing shit, man. That's the one thing I can't fucking stand, just this hoeing shit. And see, there's different types of hoeing that annoys me on different levels, but this shit, just like when the bitch is in a tub naked, reviewing an episode of One Piece for the sake of views, at that point you are a whore. As much as people like to talk about celebrities and shit and how they do all this fucked up shit for the sake of money, you're doing this for views. You're doing this for even less money. That makes you a cheaper hoe than the other hoes you make fun of. What the fuck?
A chick got into a tub, made a One Piece review, and motherfuckers start losing their shit. Like, I mean, I'm not talking about, like me, I was like, oh, it's a cool ass video. Bitch got naked in a tub and made a video about that shit, about One Piece. Like, that's sick. And everyone else was just like, oh, I'm so thirsty and shit. And like, and this motherfucker's just like, oh, leave her alone. Oh, leave the poor bath girl alone. Just shut the fuck up. Fucking retarded, man. Damn. Stop crying. I don't want to see any more of these fucking, oh, leave the poor bath girl alone. She was just trying to make a video. Shut the fuck up, man. Get the fuck out of my face.
Guess what, you guys? An anime reviewer flipped out today, did a review butt naked in the tub holding the breast of One Piece episode 593. It was crazy. It was crazy. Now, the thing about this is, like, we gotta be serious. The girl was desperate. Let's keep it real. She got desperate. She said she had to make some moves. I left a comment on the video. I was being funny, cracking jokes with them. She says this was all a ploy. She says it right there on the video. So if she would have said that like private message, I wouldn't even said that. You know what I'm saying? But she said that publicly. It's a ploy so she can get views and whatnot. And guess what? It's going to work. Let's be real. Somebody butt naked in the tub, a female, is going to work. She's getting views. Not really going about it in the right way though, but
it's just I still don't understand. They let bathtub go in there, man.
Who?
Yeah, they let bathtub. They let bathtub girl in there. Like what's her name?
Sugar fruit.
Sugar fruit.
Yeah, sugar fruits, some shit.
Rue girls,
Sugar
Peng.
tits,
But
sugar
they let
call it sugar tits.
sugar fruit though. Like, let's talk about sugar fruit for a bit. Like, I've heard some weird ass stuff about her.
Oh yeah.
Like. I mean, I really don't like stepping on people's past or anything, especially when their past is a bit like, you know, dodgy. But I've heard stuff like she's been involved with certain kinds of narcotics. She has like a hero say kind of job choice at the moment. If you get what I mean.
Yeah.
like Bushido knows what I'm talking about, but he just
Oh, no.
he just doesn't want to say it out loud. Like, Bushido, why don't you just say it? Because I don't think I can.
You know it's bad when Bushido won't say it.
We're not gonna go that far. We're not gonna expose people's personal life and shit. I don't know what sugar fruit does.
Bushido, you know what I'm talking about, but you don't even like if it's that weird or is that bad that Bushido doesn't want to talk about it. I guess we might as well step off.
Yeah,
like if the king of everything that's horrible doesn't want to talk about it, that just shows it's kind of that, you know.
It makes me thirsty though. I mean, she does. She looks tasty, man. She looks tasty.
Yeah, she does look. That's why I named sugar fruit. Come on. I feel like that the thirst know me. That's what she is.
Yeah.
Thirst
Like
know me.
more like when they say you have to have your 5 a day, I want my sugar fruit.
Wow. And she can, no, the thing is she can draw too though. Like, I've been on her channel. She's a great artist. Like, it's
she can sing as well.
like she's an all around gem. That's the thing.
So yeah. Well, basically, people who don't know this, I'm going to talk about this first, and I'll bring in. I sent a bunch of invites, but goodness, who's going to come in and who's not going to come in. There was this girl, who did a One Piece review, mind you, and apparently, what happened is she did in the bathtub. And I can see the views are just like cracking up. She was in the bathtub and she was doing a One Piece review. Now, listen. I'm gonna briefly talk about this and then I'm gonna go right. Sorry, do not the whole Joe 10 thing he was doing. But my thoughts on this, I don't really have major thoughts on this. I mean, everyone and their fucking grandmother did a video on it. And Joe 10, when he invited her, and then we talked to her, and I was like, alright, yeah. I mean, the girl said she was on some kind of medication, and I'm like, damn. So, what of it? I mean, hey, listen. You can do whatever the fuck you want on your YouTube channel. You really can. As long as it's not copyrighted material. And as long as you're not showing, actual nudity or sexual content that matter. But it's stupid to complain about this. It's done, dealt with. The only bad thing about this situation was Joe 10's stream. I personally think it's fucking horseshit that he had to get rid of it. There was no reason for that. It wasn't like, it was just the people in the comments. They were just, No.
The We Are Nakama group formed. We got Panda, we got Forever, got the Bathtub Girl.
So a lot of people sent me this video when it was out on the tube. Sent me this video of a girl that's naked in a bathtub talking about a One Piece episode video. Okay. And when I saw it, I saw a thumbnail. I'm like, okay, I get chicks in the reel. I'm not super thirsty. Okay, I like, oh, titties, like, I've never seen a girl naked before. Oh my god, titties. Oh, as Black Bond would say, social fucking rejects. Like, these motherfuckers that went in and trolled her and did all this bullshit because, oh, she's a whore. Oh, she's naked. Talking about a One Piece series, and she's talking about anime manga like, oh, she's a attention whore. Like, motherfucker, you don't have to fucking watch the video. You got the so-called fantasy world anime community trolling her, bullying her, and the funny thing is, people are talking about, oh, I'm a bully. Oh, the anime mafia is a bully. We bully people, but the so-called anime community wants to send trolls and bully her and just say all these crusty, grimy shit like, oh, you a whore. Why you being naked?
She has made mention of this herself on her Emily Artful YouTube channel, and spoke about how this channel led to harassment. Despite the harassment, she joined a collaboration channel entitled We Are Nakama with people like Double 4 Anime and Code Provider. I will link below the video she's featured in. In July, while she was running this channel, Emily collaborated on the song Autumn's Moment with Anthony and had agreed to be in the music video as well. On July 30th, after the first day of shooting, Emily posted a video of herself dancing in a bra on YouTube, which led to more harassment, with someone re-uploading it and spamming it to her Facebook friends. Anthony was one of those friends who the message was spammed to, and he had this reaction in our private Facebook messages. Fuck. See that video of Emily yet? What video? Kevin hasn't sent me anything in a while. I think I just saw it, but I'm not sure what I saw. Yeah, I'm gonna stalk the guy who put it up in the face. Apparently everyone's seen it, so we can't really have her in the video. It'll be about that. Wait, a guy put it up? Is it a different video? Because I watched the one on her channel. As you can see, Anthony asked me if I've seen Emily's video yet, and I said no, and then said Kevin hasn't sent me anything in a while. I say that because Kevin, aka Coultergeist on Twitter, would watch her channel and would talk about her YouTube videos to me, knowing that Anthony used to date her. But you already have footage, what are you going to do? Oh, there's one of her dancing for like 10 seconds in a bra. People are just doing the internet bully thing. We didn't see the one on her channel, what do you mean? We are shooting with a new person tomorrow. We already had stuff with Emmy, and now we have to throw it away. This little fucker's spam video is fucking with our goddamn production, and I'm fucking pissed. We were supposed to do a shoot with Emmy tomorrow, but now she's kinda disappeared. Luckily we found someone new, but I'd like the shit to run smooth and not waste my fucking gas and our fucking time. I don't really care if these upper middle class Bay Area fucks want to feel entitled and knock their shit around in their craft, but it's really irritating when it comes to wasting my time and money that I do not fucking have. Holy shit, that's really messed up. I mean the other channel, the second one she has, Emily Sugarfruit. Wow, that's really messed up. Is she okay? I mean, at least you have a replacement for her, but it's still messed up. But I think she posted one under her channel too. Fucking hell, that person has too much time on their hands to be fucking with someone like that. Because of the harassment, Anthony and Bryce had to completely scrap a day's worth of filming and had to find another person to fill in the role. The person that Anthony replaced Emily with is another frequent collaborator and someone who has had a close relationship with Anthony. This person never received any harassment and they will attest and confirm that, which would not be the case if the harassment came from me and was out of romantic jealousy. Here's proof that Emily was replaced in said video. Anthony was not pissed with Emily and was more pissed that someone did this to her and in essence to him. In response, I almost immediately ask if she's okay and talk about how whoever's doing this is fucked up. Emily herself acknowledged this harassment taking place during this time on her dedicated Sugarfruit fan page. She wrote this: "Haters gonna hate, right guys? Thank you for being there for me. It means so much, y'all have no idea."
Side note, I have also found evidence of Emily on her private Facebook account interacting on public pages with other people in the anime community. That's important to note because I previously thought that the person who had hacked her would have had to jump through some sort of hoop or really looked very hard to find her information and to find her Facebook account, but if they were also active in this community, they would have seen comments like this on the public pages of other content creators. This is also probably why Emily stated she got so many friend requests at the time, because if people were seeing this, they would be like, oh, this is her, I will add her on Facebook.
After this, on August 27th, 2013, she was going in for a job interview. She posted these two photos stating as much. 3 days after the interview, her Facebook got hacked. She promptly made a new one, which is still active, and said this: "Everyone, some horrible stalker hacked onto my old Facebook and is sending me threatening messages. This is why I got a new Facebook. Please don't believe anything this person says to you." Sometime between the interview and September 16th, she got the job. However, on September 16th, 2013, Emily posted this photo on Instagram with the caption: "That's not a blemish on my Cupid's bow, it's a blot of lipstick. My cyberbully cost me my job, so now what do? I put on my lipstick and take pictures between massive stomach aches and tears. Hashtag lip, hashtag NYX. While she makes no mention as to what happened, we can assume that her job found out about YouTube and let her go. Emily stated in her video against me that someone posed as a client and sent an inappropriate video of her camming to her boss, but because she didn't start camming until 2014, a year after, we know that can't be true. With this coming so close after her Facebook was hacked, it is very possible that someone who disliked her YouTube channel that was publicly harassing her was behind this.
Emily also stated that when she was hacked on Facebook, the person took photos of her from when she was a minor and put them on a photo bucket along with photos of her from when she was camming. This cannot be possible because she was hacked and fired in 2013 as shown in these screenshots and didn't start camming until a full year later. This is why I believe she didn't show any of the evidence that she has, because the timeline of her story doesn't make sense and negates our involvement.
Emily said in her slanderous video that this firing led to her being homeless after leaving her abusive boyfriend who was forcing her to do cam work, which again, could not have happened.
They got me fired from my fucking job, and I actually ended up homeless for a period of time. So anytime Shannon talks about being homeless and having to live in her car, she did that to me.
Meaning she was never actually homeless. We can further prove she wasn't homeless based on Emily's own Instagram and the progression of photos she placed on them. She was fired on September 16th, 2013, according to her Instagram. Then, 9 days later, on September 25th, 2013, she posted her last photo at her father's home. We can tell that because of the pink wall in the background. The photo is captioned, "Love the way the stylistic styled my hair. It stayed this way even when I got home." So losing her job didn't impact her home life at all. The next picture she posts is this one on October 4th, of some pillows on a bed with a white wall in the background. Hashtag pillows. It's funny how the littlest things he does for me makes my life even more amazing. Finally got a pillow for my side of the bed. This shows that she moved from her father's home into her boyfriend Bob's home. At no point was she sleeping on the street, and at no point was she dealing with an abusive ex who forced her into cam work. This is also the residence she stayed in with said boyfriend and his mother before she was able to move in with her now husband.
This YouTube channel also meant that I wanted to turn over a new leaf. I don't know if you guys knew this, but for the longest time I was kind of stuck in California. I didn't have any family out there. I was just living with my ex-boyfriend, who I ended up, I'm close with. He's my friend and very amicable, so that's why I was allowed to stay there. But I was ready to try and branch out.
Over here, the place that I used to live in was kind of a mess, so I was trying to get them to help me clean their kitchen and rearrange stuff, and this is how I wanted it to look.
And I remember one time he was like, I want to come over and I want you to, suck my dick. And I'm just like, it's 11:30 at night. I'm still live with my ex-boyfriend, who I'm still very close to, and we're friends, but I couldn't in my right mind just have this stranger come over and me suck his dick. That's not how it works. Yeah, so I'm moving right now, in the process of moving. A lot of stuff has changed because I'm not happy where I am right now. I don't really want to go into too much detail, about my living situation right now, just because it's, you know, it's private. It's something that I don't think, even if I could explain it, that would make much sense. But the point is, I'm in a place right now where I am very unhappy. A lot of the environment is very out of my control, and that's very hard for me, especially when the environment is incredibly messy. The people here are very kind and great, and I, you know, very much appreciate them and their, you know, everything they've done for me, but it's very overwhelming to be here, and I really would rather just be in Omaha. I definitely have been feeling trapped a little bit while living here.
Emily lied about being homeless and went further to say that Anthony and I weren't really homeless because we didn't live on the streets and have to, quote, rummage through the dumpsters the way she did.
They got me fired from my fucking job, and I actually ended up homeless for a period of time. So anytime Shannon talks about being homeless and having to live in her car, she did that to me. Allegedly. Hi, future Emily here. So Shannon was never technically quote unquote homeless. I mean, she was without a home, but in the traditional sense, her and Anthony were homeless by choice. To be fair, I don't know if Shannon has ever clarified that they were homeless by choice.
All right, so if you would just like to go over an overview of how you became homeless, just for people who may not know your story.
Okay, so basically when I became homeless, I genuinely thought it was going to be like a really short-term thing. I wasn't super, I wasn't the type of person who like looked up anything about it. I didn't like research, oh, what do you do if you're in this situation? I just thought this was going to be my life for a couple months with my husband and his friend, and it was just going to be really quick. And then it'd be over. But basically what happened is I had been living at home with my parents, and I had been working at a storage facility, and that storage facility job is fucking dangerous. I don't know why. Well, I do know why it's so dangerous, but it's one of those things where I didn't think that it would be dangerous when I took it, and I ended up being assaulted at work. And due to that, and the fact that my boss genuinely cared more about like, well, I know that man assaulted you, but he pays a lot of money to rent here, so we're just not going to evict him. Due to my boss saying that, I quit. And after I quit, my parents kind of looked at me and they said, you don't have a job, you're not going to school, you need to figure your life out. So they basically pushed me out of the nest. And they just told me I needed to move out. And at that point, my boyfriend and I had been talking already about leaving San Jose because it was pretty much unlivable to anyone who doesn't earn like $5K a month. And so we decided that we were going to leave that situation because he was also in a bad situation where he was living. And we just made the decision without researching anything. We're just going to drive until we hit a place that we like. Basically, we thought about Portland. We thought about that general area, but we were like, if we don't like Portland, we'll just keep driving. And it was this kind of mystical, naive idea, which I wouldn't recommend to anyone. It's a very whimsical way of living, and it was not smart at all to do. So we drove to Portland, and we ended up setting up camp there. We had a car. We had two cars, actually, his Ford Escape and my 2003 Honda Accord. And that's pretty much where we did everything. So I slept there. I slept in front of a Walmart and a Winco, which were right across the street from each other. We just kind of stayed there for a couple years until we were able to really like get our heads on straight and figure out what we were doing and make our way out of it, because we worked, I think I at one point was working 3 jobs, still couldn't afford to live anywhere, and it was a lot.
Basically, hashtag van life.
I have always been open about how I became homeless because of the fact that I did not want to accrue more debt, which is a very valid reason for someone to become homeless in the first place. In fact, in my interview with Less Than a Home a couple years ago, I spoke to other homeless content creators who were doing the same thing. Emily feeling the need to lie about this in order to invalidate mine and my husband's struggles is incredibly disturbing.
At this point, I was doing some webcamming. Not exactly something that I was doing of my own free will. A lot of that wasn't, but that's not Andrew and Shannon's fault, but
Emily moved in with Bob in October of 2013, and according to her dedicated Twitter for her porn account, she started cam modeling on or about June 12, 2014, and was only active until July 28th that same year, which is a little bit over a month. This Twitter only accrued 10 followers, and her posts had mostly no likes. Emily also shit-talked Bob, her boyfriend, on this Twitter, like in this tweet where she says, "Hate my roommate, he's such a fucking prick, hashtag need a new life." She spoke on YouTube about having to share a bedroom with him after they broke up in her I Dated a Sociopath video, so this comment is absolutely about him. However, he wasn't her roommate at the time, he was her boyfriend, as we can see here from her comment on a photo of him. So sexy. Thank you for picking me to model for the other ones. Love you. According to herself, she was still living with this person when she started her YouTube channel, something she references in her early videos incredibly favorably.
YouTube channel also meant that I wanted to turn over a new leaf. I don't know if you guys knew this, but for the longest time, I was kind of stuck in California. I didn't have any family out there. I was just living with my ex-boyfriend, who I ended up, I'm close with. He's my friend and very amicable, so that's why I was allowed to stay there. But I was ready to try and branch out.
Over here, the place that I used to live in was kind of a mess, so I was trying to get them to help me clean their kitchen and rearrange stuff, and this is how I wanted it to look.
And I remember one time he was like, I want to come over and I want you to, suck my dick. And I'm just like, it's 11:30 at night. I'm still live with my ex-boyfriend, who I'm still very close to, and we're friends, but I couldn't in my right mind just have this stranger come over and me suck his dick. That's not how it works.
She also has Instagram posts and a DeviantArt account from 2015, years later, talking about him being her beloved and referencing him in a romantic way. Emily only did cam work once in her life during this very short time frame, meaning the only ex-boyfriend who could have forced her into it is Bob, while they were living together with his mother in a one-bedroom apartment. However, seeing as she herself sees him and his mother as her children's surrogate uncle and grandmother, this is doubtful that this actually happened. Despite this, he is currently on Reddit and YouTube defending her actions, not knowing she's accusing him of this abuse. Emily said she started getting Facebook friend requests from people she didn't know in 2014 when she started working with Anthony professionally, and said it was all Anthony and me.
And again, Andrew and potentially maybe Shannon did everything they could to try to find out where I was working. For some reason, they knew it was at a restaurant, a specific type of restaurant. So they literally, copied exactly one of my friend's Facebook accounts, took the about information, all of their pictures, and made this other Facebook account and acted like, oop, my Facebook got deleted, Emily. Can you add me again? And my dumbass was like, okay. And so, oh my God, I want to scream at my past self. But I accepted the friend request. And then, of course, they post, hey, does anybody know of any really cool, this specific type of cuisine restaurants in this specific location? And at that point, I'm like, you are not my friend. And so I blocked them. I knew right away that they were trying to find out where I worked. They wanted to try to bait me to be like, yeah, I work here, so that they could call and get me fired from another job.
However, after she got clean in November of 2012, she and Anthony became Facebook friends themselves, meaning that he wouldn't have needed to make a fake account to get information on her the way she says. She debunks this claim herself without realizing this on Twitter by showing their Facebook messages from this time, where she directly tells him where she is working. At this time, I was dating someone else and not speaking to Anthony at all, meaning any jealous motivations I would have, according to Emily, would be gone. Emily says her Facebook was hacked and nudes from when she was a minor were taken off of it and placed onto PhotoBucket publicly. PhotoBucket doesn't allow nude/lewd photos on their site, so the likelihood of this happening is slim. PhotoBucket's policies are actively very anti-nudity. Emily also lies and withholds evidence, which leads me to believe that this never occurred. I can prove that her Facebook was hacked from the screenshots from her own currently active account. However, these screenshots go against the story that she was hacked when she was doing cam work in 2014, and that Anthony or I had anything to do with it. She purposely withheld the evidence in order to slander my husband and I and make it look like we had anything to do with this. She also doesn't show any proof of her account being phished, which would have been done via email, which she says she still has access to. She says the location of the hacking/login attempt was in San Jose, but she, quote, didn't think much of it because all of her friends were from San Jose, so it could have been anyone.
The other IP that I was referring to, the one where I was just totally oblivious that it was Andrew, I was like, I don't know, it's such a big city. Who could it be?
The email Emily stated was used to hack her Facebook was, why do I have to do this 22?
with the email that they had managed to switch out my email for on the Facebook account. And the email, if I remember correctly, was, why do I have to do this 22 at Gmail, or 44? It was a double number.
Which is attached to a YouTube channel called Reno 2200. This account was active up until a year ago, posting gaming videos, meaning the person behind this account is most likely the person who hacked Emily. Neither Anthony and I have anything to do with this account. Emily states on screen that she was also working as a, quote, professional makeup artist at this time, and that Anthony and I lost her a huge client because we allegedly wrote a negative review saying all her brushes were dirty and she was unhygienic. She later disproves this herself via Twitter. She contradicts her original statement by showing the screenshots of her conversation with Anthony, saying she's about to start work as a makeup artist after she gets her certification. But then, in the tweet itself, states that she never actually got her license and simply advertised herself on social media and got clients via Craigslist. Meaning that there would be no way to leave a negative review for her services, seeing as she only got clients via Craigslist and social media where reviews cannot be left. I also found the social media she is talking about that she used to showcase her makeup on, and it's theretroface.tumblr.com. The screen name, The Retroface, was her original URL for her current YouTube channel. If you go to youtube.com/theretrofaceyt, it goes to the Emily Artful channel. She only posted to this blog 5 times for about a month between September and October 2014. She was always the person featured and never showed any client work besides her doing a sugar skull on her boyfriend for Halloween. This would be 2 months after she stopped doing cam work, meaning she would have had to be homeless at the time according to her own story. No negative reviews are left anywhere on this blog, and most of her posts have 0 notes on them. I couldn't find any other social media with this name on it besides her current YouTube channel. However, she did have a makeup YouTube channel that was never uploaded to, that was made January 2014 under the name Emily MUA. Emily mentioned in her I Dated a Sociopath video that she worked at a beauty supply shop at this time.
I worked at a salon that was adjacent to this fancy bar where he worked, and every so often me and my boss, she would come pick me up from work and we would go next door to this bar and drink. Now, I don't know if y'all know this, but I currently live in the San Francisco Bay Area. This was a salon boutique store. We sold professional products to the public, so anyone could come in and buy professional product, like any kind of hair care. We had makeup and little goodies too, and then we had a salon in back. And I actually live, if you guys didn't already know this, I live in the San Francisco Bay Area in California. I had to come to downtown Menlo Park and stop at this place called Off the Grid. They go up and down the peninsula,
which was Peninsula Beauty in San Mateo. This was confirmed by the fact that Emily used a company branded pen in her $10 art supply challenge video, which is still live on her channel. This is further confirmed by the Peninsula Beauty Instagram account from a post of September 2015 of her artwork with lipstick swatches on it. I then went and I found the Yelp page for this establishment and found that there are no reviews naming Emily, mentioning her doing makeup or anything of the like, meaning at most we can prove that she was a sales associate working at a makeup store.
But in order to further the point, I am going to go ahead and read those positive ones. So Shannon C. over 6 years ago said, "The ladies here are always nice and helpful. They always ask if you need help, even if you're running in to grab a nail polish. However, yesterday I did need help on some hair care questions. Shampoo, conditioner, hair mask. Had a super knowledgeable young lady helping me. Her name was Emily. I told her my situation. After the ombre bleach fad, my long brunette locks were totally fried, and I needed my hair to get back to life for a wedding coming up in August. She recommended a few products that she uses, since she had her hair bleached too. One of the products was a macadamia professional moisture mask. I decided to give it a try last night, and oh my god, I swear I woke up with new hair. It's amazing. I only bought the travel pack because of course I was skeptical, def making a trip back a full-size jar. Excited to keep using this mask in hopes I have some bomb.com hair by August 1st, lol. Side note, no more bleach for me, blah. Thank you, Emily, and thanks to the store manager Sandra for honoring my exchange even for a few days after the 30-day return policy. So happy. Nellie O. This was my first time at Peninsula Beauty and received really great service from the staff here. I was immediately greeted upon entering by Emily, who proceeded to help me with a color match for the Jane Iredell Pure Press Mineral Foundation and the Full Coverage Glow BB Cream. Upon triple checking my work, I found that there is in fact one negative review about Emily, although the person doesn't name her. This review is not about her poor makeup work or her being unhygienic like she states, and the viewer has left more than one review on their account, leading me to believe that this is a real review and not just a troll. Here's the review in question. I am not a regular customer at this store, so I am not sure what kind of girls they are supposed to be hiring here. Within the store, the customer service was great. I came in on Friday and was helped by all 3 girls, and each one was more knowledgeable than the next. Super friendly, great selection, and each lady knew what she was talking about. I had continued to walk around downtown San Mateo after shopping there. When I came back around near the Peninsula Beauty to get my car, I ran into one of the girls that helped me. I could only assume she was on her lunch because she didn't have their little uniform on, and she was drawing in a book with her headphones on. I had noticed immediately she drew something inappropriate in her book. When I confronted her and told her that that image wasn't appropriate for a young lady to be drawing, she looked back up at me and in a very snotty voice said, "I think it's completely appropriate. I just think America is overly sensitive." She was not only insulting me, but our nation as a whole. She had long black hair, tattoos, glasses, and looked of either Eastern European or possibly Asian descent. I did not get her name in the store, but I advised you not to interact. This will not deter me from shopping there, as my experience in the store was more than 5 stars. I just want to express my serious concern with the classless people they hire.
No proof online exists that she ever worked as a working makeup artist or that she had a big client that she did makeup on that canceled on her because of a negative review that was posted online by anyone. Emily then stated in her video that after she lost her makeup job, she would never post where she was or her schedule or anything about her life on a public platform because it would be used to harass her. However, as I'm about to illustrate, that is certainly not the case. Even though the entirety of this story is false, I will work within the time frame that she set up to further disprove her claims. For Emily's statements to be true, after October 2015, she would have absolutely no posts online tagging her location, stating where she is, and the like. At this time, Emily was using her Emily Artful Instagram under the name Emily Velvet. Her account was public, as seen in the multiple times public accounts like Mod Notebooks reached out to her and other accounts found her via tags. A month after she stated Anthony and I lost her big client, she posted this to Instagram. "Come let me #paint you at Block34 Eatery. I'm here almost every Tuesday. Don't be shy. Come say hi. #artwork, #San Mateo, #Block Eatery." Emily was publicly posting her location online, publicly stated where she was, and stating she would be there every Tuesday, which disproves her statement saying she was very concerned that someone would follow her, stalk her, and attack her, so she would never post where she was. Anthony also followed her on this account and they would interact regularly, most of which she deleted before making her video. She did, however, go back in her second video and admit they would talk a lot, not realizing it debunked her first statements. However, she did accidentally keep up one post where she drew Mario in March of 2016 with the caption, "At Peter Ben Parker, I always think of you when I see Mario, heart." Peter Ben Parker was what Anthony went by on social media at the time. Here are some screenshots that show that. This interaction would have also had to have occurred after she was harassed on Snapchat, more on that in part 7. She posted on Instagram in July of 2016 showing her playing fetch with her dog and tagging their location at San Mateo Central Park and Red Morton Sports Field. She did this again in September of 2016, showing once more she was not scared of posting her location, and she was actively posting where she was on a public account. She also posted videos to her channel in 2016 where she stated where she was living at the time, walking around her cities, her favorite spots, and more.
She also stated where she was working after leaving the beauty supply shop, that being a school.
I don't know if you guys know this, but I work for a school, and so in the summer I don't have work, which is awesome. I had to come to downtown Menlo Park and stop at this place called Off the Grid. They go up and down the peninsula, and I'm gonna get something to eat while I'm here. There's a lot of good food and music and stuff. I got a bunch of hair in my mouth, shit. And now I'm going over to one of my favorite cafes that I don't get to go to a lot, and I'm gonna get my favorite tart. So I'm pretty excited, and then I'll probably stop at the bookstore next door and go in there. This is tarta! God, they're so beautiful. Look how fresh those berries are. Yummy. I is happy. Now, I don't know if y'all know this, but I currently live in the San Francisco Bay Area.
She shows the fronts of multiple buildings inside various spots and states she goes there all the time. This goes against what she said she did in her original video. In other videos, like her I Dated a Sociopath video and her Scariest Customer Ever video, she talks about where she is working. She was never scared of being stalked or harassed, as all her social medias now show. Proof exists to show that she is lying. No proof exists to show what she said happened actually happened.
I was 100% convinced that this person, Andrew or Shannon or whoever, was in my city. And then they say, I have prolonged fits of daydreaming at times. Just this really, and I know it may not seem scary to some people, but to me, this is so messed up. I 100% believe that this person was in my city looking for me so that they could kill me. Like I had mentioned before, Andrew and his friend Brandon discussed at length about going into their old high school and shooting it up. They also completely idolized Heath Ledger's Joker from The Dark Knight. They just thought he was like the most chaotic evil, the most amazing, cool villain ever. Andrew had discussed donning a mask, kidnapping the people who made fun of him in high school, and torturing them. This is what was coming to the forefront of my mind when I was receiving these Snapchats. Now, I don't have a screenshot of this, but I did send a message to him saying, do not come to my home. I have a security animal, which is 100% true. Osa is not only an emotional support dog, she is also a trained security dog. I also let him know that I have a gun in the home that I have access to and that I know how to use, and that if he tried to hurt me, that I would be forced to have to defend myself. And at this point, I had the gun. Like, I had the gun out and ready. I was fully prepared for him to come to this house and to hurt me.
Here's an infographic for ease of understanding. Emily doesn't state when she got the messages from Snapchat directly, but implies that it happened before she spoke to Anthony via Twitter. But we can prove that this could have only happened in 2016 for her story to be accurate, because they make reference to her YouTube channel, which she didn't start until 2016, according to her video 2016 in Review.
This horrible experience led me to this YouTube channel. I started this YouTube channel because I wanted to start over. I wanted to go back to basics, to my roots, to what I knew I was good at. This YouTube channel was a way for me to come on here and be silly and goofy and not feel the pressures of everyday life.
It would also have to have happened before she moved in with her now husband, given that in her boyfriend tag video, she talks about how she was moving from a small apartment into a large home.
And I actually live, if you guys didn't already know this, I live in the San Francisco Bay Area in California. So it is a 1,700-mile difference, but in 8 months from now, I will be moving here into this house. We are actually filming in my little art room thing. Yes. Yeah, so I'm moving right now, in the process of moving. A lot of stuff has changed because I'm not happy where I am right now. I don't really want to go into too much detail about my living situation right now, just because it's, you know, it's private. It's something that I don't think, even if I could explain it, that would make much sense. But the point is, I'm in a place right now where I am very unhappy. A lot of the environment is very out of my control, and that's very hard for me, especially when the environment is incredibly messy. The people here are very kind and great, and I, you know, very much appreciate them and their, you know, everything they've done for me, but it's very overwhelming to be here. And my house, where it's empty essentially with nothing in it, and it's clean, and it's this blank canvas, to here where it's nothing but clutter and, you know, garbage and stuff outside of my room. It's just very stressful, and it makes me very unhappy. And it's difficult, especially when I first moved in here. If you guys ever watch videos of me talking and there's all that clutter in the background, all those, you know, records and everything like that, those aren't mine. Like 90% of this room isn't mine, and it's incredibly difficult living here.
This is important because she states that she was in a small apartment when she pulled a gun because of these messages. Based on the fact that the messages mention Mother's Day and the fact that this would have had to have happened before she moved, which she posted occurred on November 18th, 2018, it could have only happened between May and November 18th, 2016. However, we can shorten that window even further because on November 16th, Emily posted this to Instagram, promoting her Snapchat and asking her followers to go over and follow her, which you wouldn't do if you had just had a traumatic experience involving that app that caused you to pull a gun in your own apartment. Meaning, she could have only gotten the Snapchats on the 16th, 17th, or 18th for her story to be accurate. Thanks to some people over on Reddit, I have found out that these messages that were sent to Emily were actually a part of some viral marketing done for what appears to be an ARG that is now defunct. Multiple other internet personalities publicly stated they received messages in 2017 about the mind-bending, thumb-bending video. This was clearly someone trying to get interest in their ARG by harassing different content creators online so they would post the messages and get publicity. Because the other content creators who received these messages were getting these messages in 2017, it's unlikely that Emily was ever sent these messages in 2016, meaning that her entire story about pulling a gun in her ex-boyfriend's California apartment could not have happened, meaning it is a lie. According to Emily's second video on My Husband and I, she continued to have what she labeled as romantic conversations with Anthony throughout 2016, showing messages between them from December 2016, which would have happened a month later for her story to be correct. We can prove that Anthony and I had no part in this because he didn't have a phone at the time that this would have occurred, and we shared mine. I have only ever had a public Snapchat, which I used to link in the description of my videos. Neither of us have ever had a Snapchat under the name Kilgore Trout, and we can prove this through phone records, Apple ID, and any investigation into this would immediately clear us of all these allegations. I mentioned that we can prove our innocence in this case to another YouTuber who had since linked all my messages to Emily, and Emily quickly changed her story in the YouTube comment section. She changed her story to now state that she no longer believes we were in her area, but we were just posting photos around her area to, quote, freak her out. This is categorically false and completely different to what she says in the video. She also never states why she didn't call the police to let them know she was getting what she considered to be active death threats and thought someone was on their way to murder her so much she pulled a gun. Instead, Emily decided to take screenshots she knew that Snapchat would notify her stalker of, meaning she chose to antagonize this person she thought was coming to kill her rather than call the cops, which, if she had been stalked since middle school like she has said on multiple social medias, she would know this is a bad idea.
So I am recording this on my phone very quickly, but I noticed something strange that I overlooked before. At the end of Emily's initial video, she states that she doesn't show the IP addresses because it's against her moral code to dox people, but then states it would be different if she had gone to the police.
I just don't believe in doxing someone publicly like that. Now, obviously, if I had to get the police involved, that would be a different story.
However, before that in the video, she stated that she had gone to the police and numerous times on Twitter restated that sentiment, that she had gone to the police and they had simply turned her away because she wasn't being murdered and they just neglected their duty. These two things cannot be the same. These two things cannot have happened at the same time. I just thought I should mention that.
I went to the police. I was turned away. I spoke to an attorney. They told me it's not going to be worth it taking it to court. I even went as far as hiring a private investigator for a short period of time, and he said the same thing.
There would be some record of this happening with law enforcement. There is not. Emily went on to say on Twitter that she went to the police department and told them about this, and they turned her away. However, if you were to call the cops as this were occurring, seeing as you thought someone was outside coming to kill you, there would be record of that. You would at least get an incident report. I know this from personal experience. Her stating that she was turned away by the cops goes against her claiming the police have a file on Anthony on myself, which she stated also on Twitter. She has no evidence to show this was us. Her lawyer, the police, and a private investigator told her this wasn't us, and yet she is claiming it is with no evidence. Anthony lightly trolled her in order to figure out why she blocked him on Instagram at the beginning of 2017, because they had been on good terms the last time they spoke, as seen in her post tagging him. He wanted to know what happened. He states as much in his message. Emily also asks if he's the person harassing her, to which he replies no, because if he's going to say something, even something mean, it's going to have his name and his photo next to it, like he had just done, in the messages that were clearly joking in nature. I didn't write any of Anthony's messages to her. This was all him. For her to say it's me is a lie. Emily states that she got hate from an account called DatBoyXD and it was me. It was not me. It was also not Anthony. While I can't prove this, we could subpoena this Twitter account to show who it belongs to. Her stating that this account had to have been me and could have only been me is entirely false, and it takes the entirety of the Rewired Soul situation out of context. When the drama with the Rewired Soul was happening, a lot of channels like my own talked about it openly and discussed what was going on and why we didn't like how Chris was using his channel. However, because his channel was mental health focused and appealed to vulnerable people, there were a lot of people who were affected by that situation who didn't handle it well. A lot of the people who were directly directly affected by him, they lashed out at creators critiquing Chris. They lashed out at people defending him. If you were present at the time, you would remember that one person who was critical of Chris ended up being swatted, while another had a welfare check called on them. Repzilla was hated by extension for his perceived friendship with Chris, and anyone who had collaborated him was criticized heavily. People like Repzilla, Leafy Greens, Driven Industry, Smoking Clothes, Scion Cove, and myself were all harassed during this time because we were talking about this situation. For Emily to state that she got a message from someone harassing her doesn't surprise me, because everyone was getting that at the time, including me. But for her to say it was unequivocally me without any evidence is just wrong. After her video dropped, Emily made various tweets accusing other people on Twitter of being me multiple times. None of these accounts were me, and most of them were very clearly trolls capitalizing on the situation. She also went further to claim that people criticizing her for her lack of evidence were also me, and asked her fans to directly attack them. Emily states that I commented on this video multiple times under false names to shit talk myself and say that I was the YouTuber she was talking about. This is categorically false. I remember when the video came out, I got sent a fair amount of harassing messages saying it was me, and I thought that was stupid because after I watched the video, one of the qualifications was the YouTuber who was harassing Emily had to have more subscribers than her, and I had nowhere near as many subscribers as she did. I put that statement up saying it wasn't me in a joking manner. I repeated my positions on collabs, which I had stated previously online, and I also stated the trust issues I had with people I met online. None of it had anything to do with Emily, besides me stating it wasn't me she was talking about. I also should draw attention to the fact that she stated in her video on me, she never got any comments sent to her bringing up any, quote, other art YouTubers besides myself.
And then I started getting these comments, people saying like, do you know Creepshow Art? And Creepshow Art is copying you. And have you seen this Creepshow Art girl? I was getting comments that were like, interesting. They were like, ugh, you're just a ripoff of Creepshow Art. And then opposite comments that were like, love you, Emily. Creepshow Art is a ripoff of you. Like, what was interesting is I was getting a lot of these comments about this one YouTuber and nobody else. Even though I've done like challenges and trends and I didn't feel... You know, I feel like art YouTubers, we all kind of like borrow ideas from each other. So it's like I was never compared to anyone else but Creepshow Art.
Which we now know was false, seeing as in her My Problem with a Big Art YouTuber video, she states another art YouTuber was sending her harassment because she thought Emily was copying her art. She shows at the end of her video that she had apparent screenshots that show it was me on the comments of the video, but she blurs out the IP as not to, quote, dox me. Seeing as I didn't have a home at that time, she wouldn't have been doxing any place of residence or be doxing me at all. She also knew I was homeless at the time because I told her as much in our direct messages that same day. She chose to blur these images out for some reason, as if they were incredibly sensitive and private, despite them being years out of date. Why she chose to blur them makes no sense. People know I was homeless. They just don't know I actually got out of homelessness by moving into an apartment in October of 2019 and not earlier like I said. Emily even went as far as to blur out my Mitch Hedberg joke, despite the fact that it wasn't private information and was literally a quote from a famous comedian that was an apt take on why I would hide that information. Here are the uncensored receipts. Also, as you can see, I can still respond to Emily because I was never blocked like she stated. She said she blurred the messages because it was sensitive and she didn't want to dox me, as if that would be going a step too far after falsely accusing Anthony of rape and me of owning child porn. God forbid you show the messages where I say I'm homeless. Blessed be. I believe she did this to try to paint me as giving her my P.O. box as me being flaky, and so she could say the IP address led her to where I was living, even though that's not possible. And just like that, she did both things in her video.
Shannon discloses some personal information that I don't feel comfortable sharing with the public. And she says, I'm not uber public with that because I hate the idea of people pitting me, and I'm also super private with it. And then some other private information that alluded to the previous private information, more private information.
She later backtracked on Twitter and in her second video and said the IP address that led to my home now led to a library, and after watching some of my content knows that that is where I stated I was uploading from while I was homeless, which does not line up with the reason why she didn't want to show the IP address in the first place.
I just don't believe in doxing someone publicly like that. Now, obviously, if I had to get the police involved, that would be a different story. I can, however, give you some other pretty solid proof. So here is the blurred out screenshot of the information, the IP address and everything.
If the IP address led to a library, it wouldn't have doxed me and she would have simply shown it. So either she has an IP address for a library and lied to say it contained my docs, or she has an IP address that led somewhere that I never lived. Either way, she lied about the IP address, she blurred my messages to lie about what they contain, and lied about why she cannot show any evidence. This part is going to be brief, but Amy is not a reference to Emily. Amy is a girl who used to harass me online, who I originally met on stardoll.com when I was in middle school. As I say in the video, but Amy did not grow up in San Jose with me. We never knew each other personally, and she was someone I strictly knew online who lived states away from me. Emily tried to state in her video that that video was secretly about her, that I was setting a backstory up to one day say that Emily was actually Amy, and by simply calling her Amy, I was referencing her because according to her, I was trying to lay breadcrumbs online to paint her as a malicious stalker.
Isn't that a coinky dink? That right there is the most passive-aggressive shit I have ever read, and is also one of the many breadcrumbs that she started leaving behind that she had a quote-unquote stalker named Amy. I think it's funny that she picked the name Amy. I think she deliberately picked a name that was very close to mine so that if I ever came out with allegations, she could be like, see, I even chose Amy because it sounds like Emily. And of course, she picked all the things that she did to me, so then I couldn't even come out if I wanted to, because then it would seem like I was copying her instead of her copying me.
That is not the case, and it's also very stupid. The video I put up, which is still up, has various details that do not match with Emily. It would make no sense for me to say that Emily and I were friends online ever, seeing as we never knew each other outside of her being a friend of some friends and one of my ex-boyfriend's exes before I even had a crush on him. Me stating that she grew up states away from me also does not align with her being Emily, seeing as Emily went to school in California and I know people who know her. It would make no sense for that video to be about her.
In order to prove my case, here are the cringy emails that Amy and I sent to each other in middle school.
It's important to note that two things can be true and not negate one another. Emily and I could have gone through something similar, that being online harassment, and still not speak, get along, or any of that. Her trying to say that she thinks because I did this, I could have never been stalked, and then going to invent a situation in which everything I produce is suddenly about her is incredibly gross and narcissistic behavior. In the video, after I let Emily know that an account messaged me and sent me some weird information on her that I was not comfortable with, none of which is what she stated it was, she stated if someone was harassing her and sending weird messages about her to other channels, they would have, quote, just made the video themselves.
Shannon says, look, honestly, I'm sorry from what you've gone through. I don't know you all that well, but accusing us of doing shit we don't know about isn't cool. Like, Andrew already told me that you thought he did it, and honestly, I didn't worry about it because it didn't seem like that big of a deal. Also, about the sub-buying thing, I got message about that as well. Like 5 accounts messaged me, and I know they messaged other art YouTubers. They also messaged me edits of shit about you from before the Emily Artful account. Shit that is literally none of my business. That makes no fucking sense. Why would this person who has shit on me send stuff to Shannon but no other commentary drama channel? If they really had shit on me, don't you think they would really want to try to get it out there?
She also stated no one else got these messages, but I know for a fact Hopeless Peaches and one other art account that no longer exists also got these messages because we talked about how uncomfortable it made us. However, in response to that assertion, if I was going to make a video on Emily because I had all this information, wouldn't I just do that? I was already making commentary content. I was already making callouts. If I wanted to cancel Emily, as they say I did, I would have just made a video of the screenshots of her taking photos of other women in public, making fun of their bodies, and posting them saying, that'll do, pig, that'll do. Or, fat girls piss me off. Or, funny women are Jews, the rest are all our slur, and we laugh out of sheer disappointment. Or even her saying on a post of an anorexic teenage girl that she's skinnier than her. I didn't make a video on that because I didn't know those things until now. And I'm only making one now because you falsely accused Anthony and I of stalking you while also stating you have no evidence and would lose a court case. Emily also states that me telling her that someone messaged me like this and I wasn't going to do anything was my way of threatening her. Me saying I wasn't going to do something was not my way of telling her I was going to do something. Emily purposely misinterpreted misinterprets anything I have had to say to her to make it appear as if I'm telling her the opposite. If I tell her I understand what she's going through and I am more than happy to sign a restraining order or any legal documents that state I will not contact her, that means I'm engaging in psychological warfare with her, and I'm using reverse psychology to say I won't actually do that. If I tell her I'm sorry for what she's going through because I know how isolating being harassed online can be, I'm actually telling her that I am one of the people doing this all along and I'm getting joy out of it. I also provided Emily with a way to send me a restraining order that would have been just as legally binding without spending any money, something she stated at the time she didn't want to do because she was out of money, and I agreed that me and Anthony would sign it. I gave her my legal information and told her exactly how to reach Anthony and I, and she hid those messages in her video to make it appear as if I was doing the opposite. This is why no lawyer supported the idea of her taking this to court, because there is no court case here.
I went to the police. I was turned away. I spoke to an attorney. They told me it's not going to be worth it taking it to court. I even went as far as hiring a private investigator for a short period of time, and he said the same thing.
In compiling evidence to talk to my lawyers, I reviewed my own Facebook laws that I downloaded before I deleted my account in 2019. In those records, I found that Emily has had an issue with me since 2014, very shortly after Anthony and I started talking again, when I left a review on her boyfriend's work. I didn't know who her boyfriend was, I didn't know he worked there, and the review was left when Anthony and I weren't speaking. Here's the review in question. Heaney Violins, 5 stars. Really great shop. The people were super friendly and really helped me and my friend out. Definitely somewhere I would recommend to everyone. We were helped by Hannah and another young man whose name I didn't quite catch. Again, I didn't know her boyfriend was working there. They asked for Facebook reviews when we were leaving, and it was such a nothing interaction, I don't remember much of it. However, Emily saw this review and messaged Anthony about it, telling him that she believes I hate her. Here are the messages. Anthony. Oh, and Emily thinks you hate her. Me. Why? Anthony, she messaged me something about a review online or something? About her friend's crazy ex-girlfriend who smashed a violin or something. I don't know why she would think that was you. Me. Wait, what? I was gonna see how much violins cost because my friend's ex smashed his. It was going to be this whole everyone chips in to buy him a new one thing. Oddly enough, he got back together with that girl and she ended up buying him a new one. Anthony, well, she now knows you and doesn't like you. Her boyfriend works at the store you visited. Me. Wait, what the hell? Anthony, yeah. You wrote a review about it? Me, I must have. Anthony, great. Well, now she thinks you hate her. Me, wait, I did. Because this girl was actually really cute and she said if we were serious, then they would do all this shit for us and be super helpful. And I was like, wow, this is actually really great. I definitely don't. How did she make that jump? Anthony, yeah, how could she make that jump? Me, I'm sorry. Should I tell her I don't? It really won't affect me in any way. I just don't want her wrath on me. Anthony, it doesn't matter. You're connected to her in some way, so now you hate her too. Me, I thought her boyfriend had serial killer potential. That equals hate. Anthony, was she the fucking girl in the store or something? Me, I left a nice review though, so I don't get why she's mad. Anthony, so she read a review and found out it was you, now she thinks you hate her. Me, well then foolproof logic. Anthony, so like I said, she found out you talked to her boyfriend once in a store and told a story about it online, so now we're connected in some way. You hate her, key smash. Anthony, god fucking damn it, the iPad fuck. Emily has been posting online to various accounts since she was 13, all of which have been verified to belong to her. From these accounts, I've realized that Emily has an extremely long pattern of obsessive behavior to people she's romantically attracted to, and a long pattern of calling the people who she's attracted to abusive after the fact. As of now, according to her own post, she has accused upwards of 18 people of abusing her in her life, including her own parents. She later retracted most of these claims, and now states they're all loving. In her first DeviantArt profile under the name Gothic Kazooie, which is clearly her as seen in this picture, Emily talks about stalking her teacher in various posts, something she admits to doing in her video uploaded in 2016 titled My 7th Grade Flip Flu.
Fun fact, I had a fucking huge crush on my teacher. It's just embarrassing and shameful, so you'll see him randomly in here.
In the video, she says that this was harmless, however, it was clearly not. She makes a fan character out of her teacher, who she named Gizmo, takes photos of him without knowing, which he then states he told her to delete, calls him sexy, states she loves him, draws him sexually, and after feeling upset by him being cold towards her, posts a journal in which she says he, quote, emotionally raped her for not returning her feelings. I don't know, it matches me and Gizmo. He's an ass sometimes. He basically emotionally raped me. There. He can drown for all I care. No, I probably would care. It's weird. Some of these posts are extremely graphic in nature. One post in particular, titled Orgasm, has this caption. You never hear a man orgasm nowadays. Yep, Gizmo's working on someone, hopefully me. Again, this is supposed to be her teacher. On this account, she was accused of stealing someone else's art, which led to her being harassed, according to herself. Leaving DA. Yeah, I'm being harassed behind the scenes, so I'm leaving. I would never steal art, and I'm constantly having to change my original character because they have similarities, so I'm leaving. Thanks to everyone who actually made me feel wanted. So long. Okay, I'm not leaving technically. Apparently didn't do the no thing right, so my new DA name is XGizmoX. But right after this, I'm going to post a random journal so the harassers don't know. She then made a new account under the name XGizmoX, which again is the nickname she gave to her teacher. Here's proof that it's her. She continues to post about this adult man, how she told him she loved him and got mad when he told her she was behaving inappropriately and needed to stop drawing him, writing about him, and stop putting him in uncomfortable positions. When he asked her to stop, she deleted all the posts. However, she would continue to write blogs about him, which referred to him by his full legal name, letting her classmates know who she was talking about. If you care, please read this. If you have noticed, I deleted all my deviations. I have a good reason. This is all Mr. Martinez's fault. Yeah, he's Gizmo. He's fucking 31 years old and I love him. So I told him on V-Day and I got in trouble, yada yada. He got super defensive even after I told him I didn't like him, which was a lie, but whatever. So he didn't trust me at all and refused to talk to me. I know he had to protect himself, but today he said I crossed the line too much. Stop talking to me. Stop drawing pictures of me and showing them to me. Quit writing and showing them to me. Stop doing it, period. Leave me alone. And I was trying to build a regular teacher-student relationship. Basically friends, but not quite. I know I put him in an awkward position, but he's got to move on. He doesn't trust me. I love him dearly. I love him so much. I wouldn't be happy if he wasn't happy. So I'm going to tell him tomorrow, the last day of school, that I'm never going to talk to him again unless I'm saying hi or goodbye. I never want to put him in that position again, so no more Gizmo pictures ever. Mr. Zitrem. Zinetrem is his last name backwards. My heart is heavy and I'm afraid it's going to fall out of my mouth. His girlfriend has been with him even before I admitted I loved him. I feel so fucking awkward. I drew a picture of him on bed with the girl laying next to him and I asked her who he wanted the girl to be. And he said a name that's a girl's and starts with a G. So I thought of a model. Then my friend Alana, about 2 months later, did this stupid hand chain game where you write the first initial of your true love on your hand or some crap like that. And he said she. By then I thought nothing of it. I hate my life, I hate myself, I hate Greg. Well, that's his name, Greg Martinez. Yep, I know he's going to say, as soon as I start to say goodbye to him at the end of the day, with Yvette and Kelly, why are you all of a sudden doing this? If he says that, I will fucking tell him off. I don't care if I'm expelled, he deserves it. According to her blog, she also held him responsible for her self-harm. In this post, she states that after she had a negative interaction with him, she shredded all her artwork and slammed her head on the desk until it felt like it was bleeding, then passed out on the floor. So yesterday, I took my sketchbook with all the pictures of him. I sort of regret this, but I took it and I shredded every page I had onto the floor. Then I slammed my head against my desk until my head felt like it was throbbing and it felt like it was bleeding and it gave my head a good rattle, so I fell asleep on the floor that night because I was too out of it to get ready for bed. While this is the first time she posted like this online, it certainly wasn't the last. Emily would also claim to be stalked and harassed on these accounts as well. Emily then starts dating someone her age named Zach. She writes multiple times in her blog that whenever he does something that makes her feel bad, it's his fault when she harms herself and injures herself, going as far to say she's going to kill herself on the bathroom floor because he, quote, made her feel crappy. This blog cannot be factual given that she posted this in 2009 from the perspective of being on the bathroom on the floor dying, even though phones at that time wouldn't have the ability to post to the internet, much less DeviantArt. Rather, she must have posted this online either from a computer lab at school or from her home in order to make him feel bad or to make her friends think he abused her in some way. She even goes so far to end it by directly blaming him, stating he made her feel crappy. This is not an isolated incident as seen in this other blog. Haircut, PS fuck you. Yeah, that's fucking right. I gave myself a fucking haircut with the meat scissors and only because he doesn't give a flying fuck about if I'm pretty or not, and fucking apparently I'm not fucking pretty enough for fucking him. I'm so fucking not pretty that he'd rather see her naked than me. He'd rather be with her than me because I'm so fucking ugly. Well, thanks to fucking law, I thought we had something because we were so fucking close. Now maybe I ought to fucking kill myself. Thanks for the fucking haircut, you goddamn motherfucking fucker. Emily also created a DeviantArt for him, which she uploaded her art as if it was his own. It appears that everything on this account is either about her or related to her in some way, and it's unclear if you ever had access to this account. The last post on this account was a journal he posted after he broke up with Emily. While I can't be sure, it looks exactly like a post she previously made during their relationship when she cut her hair after he made her feel bad. I personally believe she posted this in an effort to hurt his reputation with her friends, the way she would do in her own vlog post. She then accuses some unknown entity that goes unchecked of stalking and harassing her in 2006 as well in 2 blog posts. The Reasons Why I'm Sad and Internet Bullies. Zach and her got back together but then broke up again in May of 2006. Emily posted a blog about how he ruined her life called Single. Then 3 days after, she posted a blog about how she was probably pregnant, titled Okay, No One Panic. There's a moderate chance of me being pregnant. Moderate. I don't know and I feel foolish. I need to get tested. Please don't go spreading the news around school to the ones that go to my school. I just thought I'd let everyone know I'm an idiot, and yeah, Zach doesn't want to believe it. I don't think. I'm a little bit upset that I'm just like every other mom who's all by herself without a spouse to help her. At least Gabe said he'll be there for me, though I don't love Gabe as a husband or a boyfriend for that matter. I love him as a best friend. He knows me better than a lot of people, and he'll go with me to get tested if Zach refused. I just kind of wish Zach would. Yeah.
2 days after that post,
She posted that she probably had a miscarriage because she got her period, meaning that 3 days after this person broke up with her, a person that she would blame for her self-harm publicly online and stated he was the reason she wanted to kill herself, she told him she was pregnant. While I don't know if this could have been true at the time, seeing as she said this so quickly after the breakup, then stated she probably miscarried later, it leads me to believe she faked this in order to get him to stay with her. She went on to post a blog about how he abused her and forced her to do things she didn't want to do, only to later in that same blog say he never harmed her or hurt her. She then accuses him of abuse when they do not get back together in a post called Why Is It? She talks about how he took her life away and how he's evil. She also alarmingly posts this blog about how she wants to post nudes of herself, despite her being underage. I want to post this pic of myself, and technically I am nude, but it shows nothing. It's completely censored for comedic reasons, and yeah. I'm 16, so technically it's illegal. Damn it, screw it, I'm going to do it. Why'd I write this damn journal? And in her next post, she talks about how she posted literal child porn of herself knowing it was illegal, and how she's mad it got taken down. Haha, they removed it. Haha, yeah. Back to her ex, she then writes a journal about how he's a liar, how he lied about having, quote, phone sex with her, how he's a piece of shit, and then immediately after says they're friends again. And then a month later says he's dead to her and abusive. In various quizzes, she also states at one point he tried to hit her and that she is scared of him. Also that he would touch her in ways that she didn't want to be touched to get his. These are absolutely accusations of abuse and assault, but in those same quizzes and posts, she would later retract those statements, saying he never did anything to hurt her. She also admitted that these were contradictory things. At that point, they were over. She continued to post about him though, both claiming he was an amazing boyfriend but also abusive, that he tried to hit her, that he never put her hands on her, and more. Emily wrote a blog stating that she would stop talking about him because now every one of their friends thinks he's a bad person because of her and she feels bad about it. She then obsesses over another person a little while later and again doesn't respect them when they tell her to leave them alone. She then makes another DeviantArt account under the name Clash City Rockers. However, that one doesn't last long, but it does link to another DeviantArt page that is her full name that has since been taken down. This DeviantArt account and the Sugarfruit YouTube channel are the only accounts that were ever deleted, save for her original Twitter at Emily Melvin that was suspended. Oddly enough, Emily would have been posting to the Emily Luera DeviantArt blog while dating Anthony and using heroin. Some of her comments are still available from this account, like this one, which is about her using heroin. The previous vlogs also have statements of Emily using gay slurs, saying she is, quote, very racist, and Emily stating that she, at age 15, never used drugs. Emily states boldly in her video that she's been addicted to drugs since she was 14. However, her own social medias from ages 13 to 20 say otherwise. It's unlikely that it was because she felt like she was oversharing, embarrassed, or shameful of what she was posting, given the nature of what she spoke about in these posts, like wanting to have sex with her teacher, carving her boyfriend's name into her arm, and more. Also on these blogs, Emily states she has severe memory issues that result in her getting so disoriented she throws up. I have no idea if this is related to her OCD, her traumatic brain injury, or any of the other mental disorders she stated she has on social media. Emily has continued this trend over on Facebook and other social medias where she, at multiple intervals, has accused other exes and boyfriends of being abusive to her. She has a WordPress blog with only one post accusing her high school ex-boyfriend of doing nothing but yell at her and stating they are neglectful. Another example is like here, where on August 20th, 2010, she states, I met you and I found out you were the coolest person I ever met. You make me happy. She states that only for 2 days later post a status saying that she was the best thing that could have happened to them and they were blinded by the idea of someone else. These are just some of the posts she made continuing this behavior. Her own channel does this as well. She has multiple videos accusing her exes of abuse, like in her I Dated a Sociopath video where she states she was in an abusive relationship in 2015 to 2016 with a person who was abusing drugs, who cheated on his girlfriend with Emily, who was a, quote, terrible person.
This guy is really messed up, and I feel like we're cool now. We don't talk for kind of an important reason, which I will get to later, but you know, I don't hate this guy. I don't feel resentment towards him. I more feel have sympathy for him. And I was really close to him at one point and felt really close to him. But I feel that closeness was completely fabricated just because he needed stuff from me. So he injured me greatly. And, you know, subject of many great songs, thank goodness. But I'd never been hurt like that before. I'd never been hurt as a friend, as a lover, as a sister, as, you know, just pull around like that.
This is Editing Shannon again. I just wanted to come in and note that Emily is saying here in 2016 in her I Dated a Sociopath video that has been deleted that she has never gone through something that traumatic in a relationship before, and she's never been hurt like that before or to that extent before. So her stating now that she went through a very traumatic relationship with Anthony does not make sense because that relationship would predate this.
So unfortunately, what kicked off 2016 for me was a very toxic, codependent friend shit. Pseudo-relation shit. Horrible relations is what I'm getting to. And you can learn all about that in this video right here. But to sum it up very, very briefly, I was close to a almost 40-year-old drug addict who came from a very affluent background. He went to a nice college, and he's kind of the prime example of a very unexpected drug addict. Someone who, you know, they always say anybody can become a drug addict. And I'm not sitting here bashing drug addicts because it is a disease, and I myself was a drug addict in the past. I'm not going to get into that right now. I have so many feelings about that, but the point is that he is a drug addict that I don't think will ever truly heal because he doesn't really have to. He has a lot of people in his life that act as constant enablers to this behavior. He'd go through these cycles of using drugs and then finding people who would help him financially, mentally, emotionally. Then he, like a lotus flower reaching through the mud towards the sun, would get clean and sober and then ditch those people, relationships, friends, what have you, that helped him along the way, get this holier-than-thou attitude and turn people against him, and then the cycle would start all over again. And I ended up being one of the people who was used and dragged down into that cycle with him. Now, Aaron, he's a bad guy, and he's always going to be probably a pretty shitty person. And I'm not going to sit here and say that there aren't redeeming qualities about him, but his decisions towards other people and his selfishness and his narcissism, that's not going to change probably ever.
Then there is her "he cheated on me" video where she states a mutual friend cheated on her with a blonde Asian woman who liked to party, who was, quote, such a crazy bitch, she sent her a cease and desist to make sure Emily didn't talk to him anymore.
Anyway, I received a message from a girl, let's call her Celine, and let me quickly paint a picture of her. She was at the time, probably 18-year-old Korean girl with bleach blonde hair who fucking loved to party. Every single picture on her Facebook was of her and her bunch of fucking white chick friends doing the peace sign covered in that rave candy, you know, the jewelry that you wear to rave. I don't fucking know. But all of her pictures were like poorly lit with flash, and just all of her friends like, yes, give it, yes, I just want to party. Wow. This is not where this story ends, my friends. Oh no. 2 months after we broke up and I hadn't heard anything from him, I hadn't tried to make any contact with him or any of his friends, I get a letter in the mail, and it's this shitty, like, Microsoft Word, but with, like, weird font typed up letter thing. It didn't look official or like it could hold up in a court of law at all. And it was basically a copy paste cease and desist letter saying like, oh, you need to leave Sam alone, and if you do not stop trying to contact Sam, he will contact his lawyer. And I was just like, wait, what the fuck? I haven't even talked to this guy in 2 months. I basically just threw the letter away and forgot about it until about a full year after I received that letter. One of our mutual friends that I remained in touch with, I like just had brought it off a whim, like, oh my God, I totally forgot about this. And they're like, oh wait, nobody told you? And I'm like, nobody told me what? So Sam didn't even send that letter. Celine sent that letter to my house. How she got my address, I don't even fucking know. That bitch was crazy, because since he had cheated on me with her, when they got together, she was hyper paranoid that he was still talking with me, even though he obviously wasn't. So she sent a letter almost in Sam's name, just in case we were still talking. And even after her many displays of insanity, he still stayed with her.
Then there is her video talking about her boyfriend's crazy ex-girlfriend who allegedly faked a rape accusation and would tell that boyfriend that she was going to kill herself if he didn't pay attention to her.
Hey everyone, my name is Emily, and today we're going to be doing a sketchbook story time about my ex-boyfriend, psycho ex-girlfriend. A few years after high school, I would think a few years roughly, I met this guy, and we are going to call him Dave. And Dave had an ex-girlfriend, and we are going to call her Vicky. Dave and Vicky had been separated for a good year, And when Dave and I met, he, made sure to let me know that he has an ex-girlfriend who has a few screws loose, was the term he used. We were hanging out one night, and he had somehow cued her into our whereabouts, or that we were hanging out, and he gets a call from her telling him that she is going to kill herself. And in her suicide letter, she is going to write that it is all his fault. So he panics, as any fucking normal human being would, drops me off at home, goes to her house. I don't hear from him until the next morning. This bitch took 7 Advil. That is literally 1 more Advil than the daily recommended fucking dose. That's not going to kill you. Why it bothers me so much. And again, who am I to say if she was serious or not? But why it bothers me if she wasn't is because suicide is such a fucking serious thing. And if you are using it to trap someone, you are a psychopath and you are part of the fucking problem. After this whole problem, this girl starts harassing me on Facebook. She created 4 accounts, mind you, with her picture on all 4 accounts, but different names. Smart girl. All, pumping out those really generic mean girl comments. You're fat, you're ugly, I'm so much prettier than you, he'll never love you, blah, 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 whatever. He calls her up, says, if you don't stop, I am going to file a restraining order to get your fucking ass off mine. So she, of course, bawls and says, well, then, here's another pet peeve of mine. She says, well, then I'm going to say that you raped me. And about a year after I left him, I found out through the grapevine that they got back together and she got pregnant, and now he's trying to leave, but she's pregnant, and I don't know. I don't fucking know.
Then there's her video talking about how her ex-girlfriend was totally crazy and came through her window one night drunk, wanting to have sex.
Emily also states in this video she's only had 2 bad relationships her entire life, that being the first one with Sam, aka Sean, and this one that she's about to talk about with her immature ex-girlfriend. Neither of these are Anthony, and they also negate every other story she's told about having abusive partners.
Now, I don't know if you guys are getting sick of me talking about my exes. I've done a few videos about my love life in general, but now that I kind of think back at it, most of my exes were awesome and cool, and I'm still friends with them, or at the very least, cordial. Now, only 2 of my exes are just completely unbearable. I have no desire to ever get in contact with them ever again, and I have had about 7 relationships of substance in my entire life. The first ex that was just a piece of shit was the one that cheated on me, and his name, we call him Sam. So I'm gonna go ahead and put an annotation for that video right here. I definitely suggest you go over and watch that. It was quite an experience. That's all I can say. The other ex is who this story is about. Penny was a beautiful, charming young girl. We got along incredibly well. She was exactly my type, both physically and mentally, or so I thought. And the only possible foreseeable downfall to our relationship at that time was that she was a little bit immature, and she was a little bit immature because she was 4 years my junior. I can already hear you guys saying it. Emily's a dirty old man, robbing the cradle. What are you doing with this perfectly good baby? You're not gonna use this baby. I'll take this baby out of your hands. So that's why I feel that a 13-year-old who was just about to turn 14 and a 17-year-old who had just turned 17 isn't that big of a deal. It's like, we had so much fun when we had fun, but when it was bad, it was just like, I wanted to dig a hole and put my head in it. I'd rather stick my head in a hole than stick my dick in crazy again. One night, I was at my dad's house. I was asleep in my bed. It was probably like 11:30 to midnight, somewhere in that area. And I get a rap-a-tap-tap on my window. That wakes me up. First of all, my first thought is I'm shitting myself. Like, who the fuck is tapping on my window? So I'm in my head, I'm like, should I go get my dad's gun? Like, what should I do? This asshole is standing there in her dress, but her dress is like half off, so one of her titties is hanging out and her hair's all messed up and it looks like it has like little tiny like pieces of lavender in it, and I'm just like, what the fuck? And my first thought is like, oh my god, is everything okay? Like, it kind of freaks me out to see her like half naked with shit in her hair. I'm like, oh my god, did she get hurt? Did someone assault her? So of course I open the window and I'm like, and then before I could even get 2 words out, she just like lunges in. She's like jumping in, her thighs in the windowsill, and I'm just like, oh shit, like just spider bitch crawling in my room, because there's nothing good that could come about a fucking 13-year-old little girl with her titty hanging out, with lavender in her hair, with alcohol in her belly, and a quote-unquote responsible adult bringing her into the room. Like, nothing good could come of this. And then she starts trying to have sex with me. So here's where things start to get really, 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 really fucking shitty. This is one of the worst things that has ever happened to me, and I really haven't told that many people because in a way it's very embarrassing for me. So in my locker, I had 3 paintings that I had done, all of which had won local awards, and then I had a stack of drawings that I did as a little girl, like 2, 3, 4, 5 little girl, like that little. These things obviously were irreplaceable. I had put countless hours of time into these paintings, and these, little drawings that I did as a kid, they're things I've done as a kid, and I'll never be able to get that back. Penny had the combination to my locker, and I had forgotten about that. But when I was able to return to my locker, I opened it, and there was this black, what looked like almost like grease paint, just scribbled all over the actual inside of the locker itself. There was mayonnaise and ketchup and mustard and things like that, and it stunk horribly all over my shit, all over my extra pencils and whatever I had left in there. I had 2 pictures of me and my friend in there, and those were torn up. And then, she had destroyed the canvases. She had looked like either stabbed a pencil or something through it, because there was like marks through it. It looked like her foot had gone through it at some point, because there was almost like a shoe mark on one of them. Completely destroyed. There was mustard all over him, scribbled with black pen as well. And then the thing that is most heartbreaking to me, because those paintings, whatever, I have other paintings, but the things I did as a kid, those were just covered in ketchup and mustard and pen and lipstick, I guess. Grease paint, whatever she used, black, whatever. They were completely destroyed. Some of them were torn apart. And I literally remember just standing there and not knowing how to process my emotion. So I just closed the locker. I really tried to be a little bit more careful with who I chose to date, and clearly didn't do too great of a job, because I think Sam came after her, but for the most part he didn't show his evilness till a little bit later in the relationship.
Then there are her false allegations against Bob, stating he forced her into cam work and made her homeless, despite letting her kids around him and using his Amazon account to this day.
At this point, I was doing some webcamming, not exactly something that I was doing of my own free will. A lot of that wasn't.
Then there's her provably false claims of rape against Anthony, her claims against Price, and her false claims against me for stalking. I have also found evidence of Emily claiming that she's being stalked and harassed by certain accounts, only for me to find those accounts have belonged to her. This account on 9gag went by the name Snacky Packy, using Emily's image, her stated profession, and would comment on posts of women stating that they weren't as attractive as she was, that anyone who was overweight was just lazy and should stop eating, and that most men were intimidated by her because she's attractive and smart. She also apparently has a sex addiction, and her boyfriend at the time wasn't satisfying to her. I'm thinking OP is probably fat. I have big boobs, but I am petite. There's no way I would have stretched out any of my ex-BF shirts, even the smaller guys' shirts. I couldn't imagine a normal-sized girl doing it either, even with big boobs. Power of deduction equals, yep, fats. Ash is photoshopped. Look at the window. I'm way prettier than her. Me too. But also I have a sex addiction, and I've been told by my counselor that I need someone with moderate to low sex drive in order not to feed my habit, but I need to feed. Unfortunately, I just have to repress the beast inside, but I'll happily do it because I love my man. I'm sorry, she is fat. Weird face, no boobs, no ass, too skinny. Glandular issues are literally 1% of the problem. Get off your asses. Am I the only one around here who thinks obesity is the result of poor diet and little exercise? No, you are not. Seriously, fat people, no, work out. Find time, don't let yourself go. I understand that the artist was probably aiming the joke towards women who make lesbians look bad, bar lesbians, if you will, but didn't really do enough to convey that. Overall, it is funny if you know he's not talking about real lesbians, only the fake doing it for attention ones. I had a guy be a dick at the bar with me with this premise. I made him feel so embarrassed when I told him I wasn't wearing any makeup. So now what? Because I'm naturally pretty, that means I'm automatically high maintenance? The reason she made that video was because she lost a bunch of weight and lost her triple Ds, I think. She was down to a C cup and was uncomfortable with how small her breasts were.
Probably cheated because you're an overbearing psycho bitch. Letting you all know, as a professional makeup artist, I can tell she's contoured her breasts and that they are not that size. Sorry guys. Take it from a girl with natural, larger breasts, she'd fill out the whole bra if they were to actually look like that. And fail. Real gamer females despise girls like this. I'm sorry, but fuck these bitches. Fuck them to hell. They make hot gamer girls look like idiots. Anytime I tell a dude I game, he never believes me because I'm really pretty. Not gonna lie, I'd rather be ugly and respected as a gamer than grouped with liars. Yep, it sucks. It sucks even harder when your measurements are quote perfect. No, I get serious overhang. Bigger boobs, tiny waist. Fail. 38, 23, 36. Man, are you stalking me just to pick on me? I'm sorry I'm confident with my body and you find the need to attack that. Bye, Felicia. Too bad she's probably a heifer. Fat boobs don't count. So what about someone like me who lost everything by being cheated on? Am I still at fault here? Or what? Because I'm a woman. How is it my fault I was homeless for a year because a douchebag cheated on me and took everything I ever owned? Tell me how that is my fault. Go ahead. With this last one, that is completely different than the story she told about being homeless because she was fired. And in all of her social media accounts, I can't find one instance where she didn't post and didn't live in a home.
I ignored this account for the most part because on a separate account that I already confirmed as belonging to Emily, Emily stated this account was not her and was in fact a stalker.
However, because of how similar some of these posts are to other accounts, which I will show in just one moment, I believe this account was actually run by Emily. I also believe that she made a new account to state that she was being stalked after she was called out by 2 other accounts for being a pick-me and wanting attention. She even accused these girls themselves of stalking her. I'm sorry, but fuck these bitches. Fuck them to hell. They make any hot gamer girls look like idiots. Anytime I tell a dude I game, he never believes me because I'm really pretty. Not gonna lie, I'd rather be ugly and respected as a gamer than be grouped in with liars. One of the accounts responds to Emily and says, "Dude, get over yourself. Bag of attention." Emily responds, "Such haterade, much clever. Wow." A different account responds to Emily, "LOL, so being a gamer is a really big part of your personality and you have to tell everyone? I'm a gamer girl, look at me. I'm not like other girls, I play video games. I'm special. Oh my god, because of these bitches, boys won't believe me. Come on boys, believe me. I'm a gamer girl." Then to the other account, they say, "But she's a true gamer girl. She's not like other girls. She's special. And all these, quote, bitches are just wannabe gamers and they don't know shit. Much irony, such wow." In response, Emily says, "Jesus Christ, you people get so butthurt. Damn, I'm shocked you're taking this at all seriously. Clearly, if I'd been at all serious, you've got some aggression issues to tackle." This occurred on January 6, 2015. That same day, Emily posted this on a different photo. "Yep, it sucks. It sucks even harder when your measurements are, quote, perfect. No, I get serious overhang. Bigger boobs, tiny waist. Fail." One of the accounts from before responded to this and said, "Did they change the definition of perfect to subpar and no one told me?" Again, throws bag of attention. Emily then responded with her measurements and called this account a stalker. 38, 23, 36. Man, are you stalking me just to pick on me? I'm sorry I'm confident with my body and you find the need to attack that. Bye, Felicia. Emily then made a new account on February 4th, a month later, and found this account pretending to be her and called them out on a post of her own. Don't trust Snacky Packy. Find out someone is impersonating me on 9gag and using real info about me from my Facebook and being a jerk no less. Turns out I have multiple cyber stalkers that have been doing shit like this since I quit YouTube.
On this account, she talks about her favorite anime, One Piece, and her favorite character from that anime, who she made a self-insert comic for. She talks about her sobriety from heroin specifically, her being a makeup artist and a professional model. These are statements and lies that Emily has made on other accounts and continues to make to this day. Here are 1v1 comparisons of things she said on this fake account and things she stated on real accounts. Fake account: somebody loves Kaku. Fuck, I love Kaku. Real account: someone, feed my fangirl hunger, buy this Kaku for me.
Fake account: Anytime I tell a dude I game, he never believes me because I'm really pretty. Not gonna lie, I'd rather be ugly and respected as a gamer than grouped in with liars. Real accounts. Favorite gaming platform, N64. Look, all I know is that someone's gonna get raped.
Also, I'm just going to get this out of the way right now because I know I'm going to get this comment a million times. Oh my god, you ruined a perfectly good controller. Girls can game too, guys. Sit on my face. Now, originally I was going to paint on a Game Boy Color, but since we already had Nintendo 64 controllers here at the house, I figured I'd start there with something I already own.
Fake account. Letting you all know as a professional makeup artist, I can tell she's contour her breasts, and they're not that size. Sorry guys. Take it from a girl with natural larger breasts. She'd fill out the whole bra if they actually looked like that. If you're a professional at this, meaning makeup, you know it's not that great. These looks are very easy to do, and I've seen them all elsewhere online. If she wants critique, I'm giving it to her. Being honest to improve, you know? Basic and not very good. Real account. This is the same woman. And obviously it's an ad for her makeup. Same woman being me. I need some models. Contact me if you're interested. Contact info in the bio section of this page. Artist, professional, traditional art. I'm a professional makeup artist, so I'm a professional at something, I guess. Other interests. Licensed makeup artist, singer, songwriter, lingerie model, and anime enthusiast. And here it goes against her story of she was never licensed. She's saying she's licensed here, which I feel like that's not cool to say, like, I'm licensed when you're not, but far be it from me. Fake account. Also, attention everyone. Having your friends take pics of you in your backyard is not modeling. It pisses us real models off because of all the shit we have to put up with. Guys, I'm a model, so I'm not ugly. Trust me, there are plenty ugly models. Myself is one of them. Real account. Ex-petite model. From that, I started doing modeling part-time and it eventually became a full-time gig. Promised this person I'd upload some of my old modeling photos. I only found a few, but here's one that was for when I did music under the stage name Annabelle Wanted. Wish me luck. Also, I got accepted into another modeling agency, so for the sake of my teeth and complexion, I need to quit smoking if I want to keep this job. It'd be another petite modeling career, so I'd have to shed a few pounds before I can start working. Fake account. I had a guy be a dick at a bar with this premise. I made him feel so embarrassed when I told him I wasn't wearing any makeup. So, now what? Because I'm naturally pretty, that means I'm automatically high maintenance? Real accounts. Between hot and stunning, depending on if I have makeup or not. This just proves the power of makeup confuses AI. I have the same problem. Guys only want me for my looks half the time, even after thinking they love me for me. They end up not giving two shits about how hard I work each day. I got out of the modeling game a few years ago because I just couldn't take the superficiality of it all. Girls are usually mean to me for the exact reason. I'm incredibly shy, so when I don't say anything, they immediately assume I'm stuck up. I hate it. I'm objectively considered very attractive, and I second this. I find people, especially other women, are incredibly rude to me before I even get the chance to speak. Usually, I am extremely nice in order to overcompensate for people's assumptions about me. Anyone notice how Jenna Marbles trick people into thinking your good-looking video is how she always looks? I'm so glad I'm naturally gorgeous, and I don't need makeup to watch boys trip over themselves to get my number.
Real account, bitch has no titties. A size 6 isn't that bad, I think. Boobs on fat chicks don't count. Fake account, fat boobs don't count. Too bad she's probably a heifer. According to Emily, this person was pretending to be her, but being mean to others in order to troll her. However, why would this person go through the effort of pretending to like One Piece, specifically a random side character that she made a fan comic for, pretending to be a makeup artist, lingerie model, and more, and post the exact same kind of comments that she was posting on her other confirmed accounts? It is much more likely that this is just Emily and didn't want to be called out for posting these kinds of messages. Emily stated that her hair was split dyed orange and black through the majority of 2015, and that when I split dyed my hair in 2020, it was a direct reference to her. My hair most of 2015 was half and half orange and black, cut, choppy, and short. I had totally forgotten about this until a friend said something. It made me shiver. Unless the picture of Shannon is flipped, the colors were on the same side too. She, however, had never dyed her hair orange. In 2015, she bleached half of her hair, trying to go from black to blonde. Her hair ended up a brassy orange because she didn't use toner as seen in these pictures. Her hair stayed that way for 1 month before she immediately dyed it blue. She never purposely dyed her hair orange. She lied about how long her hair stayed this way, and she did so in order to paint me as a malicious stalker. My hair choices had nothing to do with her. Emily also stated that all my art is her and has coded messages meant for her. This is patently false. The first drawing is not her and looks nothing like her. Looking at the image, the drawing has pale skin, freckles, bangs, and brown eyebrows. Emily does not have any of those features and is an olive-skinned Latina woman with black eyebrows. These two pictures look nothing alike. The second picture is of an old friend who is Sri Lankan. This is a picture of a dark-skinned Sri Lankan woman and looks nothing like Emily at all. It is also ridiculous because in her 1v1 comparison, she uses a screenshot from her video on me, which happened in 2021. This drawing is from over 4 or 5 years ago, possibly longer, meaning she's stating that this drawing of a dark-skinned Sri Lankan woman is her, and I somehow knew what she would look like in the future. The third one is literally a commission from someone who had darker skin and again looks nothing like Emily. The mediocre on top is not a diss at Emily, it's just part of the commission. None of my art has anything to do with Emily. Emily also stated she was a signed working model who did this full time. This, like her stating she was a makeup artist, is also a lie. Emily has had professional photos taken of her for her music and whatnot, however she was never a working model, like she says on DeviantArt and in this post from the Awkward Years project.
Guest submission, Emily. Then 15 years old, Bay Area, California. Now 22 years old, model, residing in Bay Area, California. As for my personal, I guess you'd call it a success, story, when I was around 17 and 18, I got off a medication that I had taken since before puberty. Turns out, my natural frame is pretty small. I lost 65 pounds incredibly quickly, but kept my big boobs, yes. Grew out my hair and started coming into a toned down version of my own style, and bam. All of a sudden, I became attractive. By this time, I was out of high school and no one really got to see my progress, but I didn't care. I felt beautiful on the outside and took my newfound confidence everywhere. From that, I started doing modeling part-time and it eventually became a full-time gig. I turn heads and get hit on everywhere I go, and I still think people are trying to make fun of me. Trust me, when you get out of your awkward phase, you will not be used to people hitting on you for a long time. Just take it in stride. You'll get used to it. I went from being 5'1", 155 pounds with a D cup that looked like an A cup stacked against my bloated stomach, a bowl cut, severe acne, and fuzzy eyebrows, to 5'2", 100 pounds with a D cup that actually looks like a D cup, long flowing hair, and a face that probably never needs makeup again. And who knows, I'm sure to someone somewhere I might look ugly, but I feel fantastic, and all I can say to them is, people pay me because I'm beautiful to look at, but people stay with me because they know even when the beauty fades, my heart will stay beautiful. And to all who inquire, because I know someone will, no, I've never had any work done on anything at all.
This photo was clearly taken by herself in her room, as seen by the fact that she's sitting on her bed. These two photos were taken for her music, and here she clearly states that this one was taken for her music as well. In this submission to the Awkward Years project, Emily states that she's a signed working model who does it full time. This was posted in 2015, when she would have been working at a beauty supply shop. There is no proof that she ever modeled for anything besides her own music. No profiles exist for her on Model Mayhem that I was able to find. Emily states that Anthony only dated me and was only attracted to me because I am, quote, goth like she is. This is untrue. Partially because when they dated, she looked like this and wasn't at all goth. This is what I looked like when Anthony and I started dating years later. I only started dyeing my hair black after Anthony and I broke up the first time when I decided I wanted to look like Zooey Deschanel. I am a pale woman with freckles and blue eyes. She is a white-passing Latina woman with olive skin, dark hair, and dark eyes. We look nothing alike. Our styles aren't at all similar, and I hardly show myself online. So her saying we look alike is a farce. Emily also interacted with people I knew in a friendly setting, further solidifying what I said about our social circles not being solely connected by Anthony. Here's Emily leaving a comment on a DeviantArt profile in 2010 of a family friend before I knew Anthony. This is a person who I went to school with for multiple years and was also a family friend. Emily also stated that she, quote, doesn't respond to DMs anymore because she is too scared of harassment, has PTSD, and has been terrified since 2016 from her interactions with me and Anthony. However, in her Answering Your Questions video from 2018, Emily states she spends a good amount of time interacting with her fans, specifically in DMs, and usually only talks to them in DMs.
And that you're interactive. I feel like I made that mistake at first. I wasn't interactive enough. I wanted to be, but I was like kind of shy, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. It's like, how do you be shy on the internet? But you can't be. But I feel like recently I've really opened up a lot more. I got a comment who said, you know, I really like her videos, but I just wish she'd interact with her audience more. And I took that to heart. So, and first of all, I'm very glad I did. It's so weird too, because like I would talk with you guys like through DMs, but I felt weird to comment because it was public. I know it sounds so weird. It just feels like DMs. It was like a confessional in a way. I don't know, but that's that. By the way, I'm just going to throw this out there, and I'll mention this in another video or somewhere else. I do receive you guys' DMs. I don't really respond to every single one because I get so many, but I do go through and I read and I respond when I can. Instagram doesn't notify me when I get those kind of DM requests, so just a heads up.
This video postdates anytime Emily has cited that she was harassed or spoken to us, making her statement about her closing her DMs because of Anthony or myself completely false. Emily then says a story time I made is further proof that I stalked her. That video is about how someone stole my design and got it tattooed on them. In the story time, I make a joke about how I am, quote, a great stalker because I can find anything on anyone.
So before I get started, I do have a confession to make. I am essentially Neve from Catfish with how fucking good I am at online stalking. Like, I'm amazing at it, guys. You have no idea. Honestly, a lot of people have tried to make me feel bad about how good I am at it, and I don't fucking care at this point. Like, being able to research someone online is so handy because, one, you can figure out, like, is this a person I want to actually hang out with? And two, if you're getting into a new relationship or your friend is, you can actually figure out if that person's a dickbag or not. Because I've saved numerous people from getting into bullshitty relationships with guys who, one, already had girlfriends, and two, would frequent the Gone Wild side of Reddit and just hit on girls constantly. And I'm not just talking hit on, I mean like they would give them their full phone numbers in the comments, like unsolicited. So yeah, I'm pretty fucking proud that I'm Neve from Catfish. Hello, it's me, Shannon, again, and here I am talking over a compilation of TikToks making the same exact motherfucking joke as I did at the beginning of that video. Almost like it's a popular thing to say. Almost like me saying that I have massive FBI skills and I'm essentially Neve from Catfish isn't a fucking breadcrumb that I'm stalking someone, because I feel like if I actually stalked someone, I wouldn't say that. Am I right, my dudes? No? Okay, you still think that's a thing? Great.
That video was taken down on March 19th, 2021, months before Emily's video. I know this because I made a video addressing it, talking about how I took the video down because I no longer agreed with it, and I had grown and matured and found it cringy. Hey guys, it's Shannon, and today I'm going to be talking about something that I haven't talked about in a very, very, very long time, that being tattoos, and people using my art for tattoos. And if you were thinking, wait, I don't remember Shannon ever talking about that subject matter, then you, my friend, are a fake fan. That's right, my dude. I'm calling you specifically out for not watching the 5th ever video I ever made for this channel called Somebody Stole My Art and Got It Tattooed. Does it have less than 100,000 views after 3 years? Yes, absolutely it does. And that is where it will forever stay, because I'm definitely probably going to be making it private after I upload this video, because I hate everything about it and no longer agree with the premise of it.
Fun fact, my sister was in an opera when she was about 8 or 9. It was Madame Butterfly, and she played Trouble, which is Madame Butterfly's son. Her only line in the play was, "Mama, Mama." Madame Butterfly was like, "Oh, my son." And then she wrapped some tie around Trouble's eyes, and my sister had to sit down and play with flags and just wave them around as like a game or something. And Madame Butterfly commits suicide, and the play's over and everyone cries, and they tell my sister she did such a great job even though she had one line. Oh, another fun fact is I really like my sister now, but don't tell her that, because if she knows, then it ruins the whole game of, you know, I don't like you, get away from me. What's the point of that? We can't go around loving each other straight up, right?
First, my sibling, Jem Campbell. The person who, their freshman year of Gonzaga University, shit in a mug, walked across campus and smeared that shit on the door of their girlfriend's friends' dorms because they thought they didn't like them. The person who was hired by disabled activist Evan Sweeney got fired for unprofessional behavior, then got so mad that they hacked Evan's account to read what Evan thought about them and deleted their work in revenge only to be called by the cops. The person who purposely broke our parents' laptop by pouring water on it because our parents gave them a curfew when they moved back home from college. Me and Jem have not been close since 2014 when I picked them up from a party and they drunkenly told me I was supposed to be the fuck up of the family and that they wished I killed myself in 7th grade when I tried and they want nothing to do with me. The next morning, they didn't remember it and they said they didn't mean it, but after that, everything was different. They surfaced the moment my name was trending in a negative way to not only state that I had stalked Emily and they had witnessed it, but also to state that I had stalked and abused them as well. That I had spent years following their online presence, sending harassment towards them, that I have abused them for years and years, and much like Emily, they had no evidence. Because that quite sincerely didn't happen. They admitted in 2018 that this didn't happen, as seen in the message above, and that it was projection on their part, but they saw their chance and they took it. Jem has accused me of stalking them for simply following their Tumblr, Instagram, or any public platform and reading their posts. Mind you, we have mutually followed each other on pretty much every platform for most of our lives, and they were well aware I was following them, and I had never used a false account to see their posts. I never sent them anything less than support, and they were always aware that I followed them. However, if they posted something that they, for whatever reason, didn't want me to see, either because it was about me or they thought they just didn't want me to see it, it was my fault if it came up on my dashboard. When they came out via Tumblr as a lesbian publicly and I liked the post, they got mad at me because I took their moment away and they wanted to come out in person to me. When I commented on a post they wrote about me, talking about how they hate me, they told me I was invading their space and privacy. Despite them talking about me publicly, I wasn't allowed to know about it. In 2016, after I posted my nephew would be better off without his father, I wrote them a long message telling them that I was done with them, that they had gone too far, and they were disgusting. This is the message I sent to them. It's incredibly embarrassing, but pause to read it if you want. We didn't speak much after that, and then in 2018, I reached out to them, telling them exactly how I felt about things they had said and done. I did this because a friend had recently died, and I didn't get to tell them what I had wanted to tell them our whole lives, and I felt the need to get everything off my chest and just let it go. I had wrote about things they had done and said, like I had abused them publicly, stating my husband is abusive on Twitter for simply breaking up with me for a day, for saying that his PTSD isn't real, them sexually harassing my straight female friends to date me until they felt too uncomfortable to be in the same room as me, and saying things like they wish I was dead. Here's the message. You can pause to read. It's still embarrassing, but this is what it says. My sister responded with this, admitting to doing everything I had said, and stating they were sorry. They regretted saying I abused him. They regretted their posting about me to social media and spreading lies and more. When Dad told me about Paige this morning, my mind did go to you, wondering how you're doing with that loss. It's incredible to lose loved ones, especially so young in life, and I'm sorry for this pain. I appreciate you reaching out and understand this is not a portal for a relationship again, and understand the pain I've inflicted. I'm overwhelmed with regret over the way I handled our relationship back in more recent years, especially the biphobia, the pushing of non-consensual relationships, the claims of abuse, and the indirect communication. I was wrong in all of it, projecting so much of my own ish onto you, and I had no understanding of the impact it had on you. I am humbled again and again by the impact my life has had in yours, both consequence of my own actions and just for my existence. For the pain I've caused you and that you voiced, and for perhaps myriads of other things that are not said, I am deeply, deeply sorry. In 2019, after these messages, my sister and I started talking a little bit more. I reached out to them when they asked for help with rent. I bought tarot readings from them because they wanted to sell stuff instead of just take money, and I thought they were on a better path. However, many months after a generally friendly conversation, they blocked me after me talking about my dental surgery, and they posted on Twitter that I was a toxic, abusive person. Here are the last messages we ever sent to each other. And then this happened. And suddenly they are stating once again that I'm the most abusive person in their life, and I've stalked them, and all this stuff that they've admitted isn't true.
I also wanted to address what Jem said about me on Twitter, specifically in regards to our brother, Bobby, because they made a statement that I only started calling Bobby my brother when he died, which is, the implication of that is that, oh, when I could use it for sympathy, that's when I cared for someone. Not the case. Here is the last conversation I had with Bobby, where he is offering me a place to stay in case something bad were to happen to me at home. And here's him also asking why Jem hates him. Because they had cut him off for believably no reason. They even spoke on Tumblr about how they didn't have a reason for it. So, in regards to that, Jem, go fuck yourself.
But don't worry, they didn't just do it publicly. They also sent me death threats, made fun of the fact that I can't have children, and talked about how much better my nephew would be without me, so I should kill myself. Oh, and my husband. We should both kill ourselves. They sent these emails to me from a spam account. However, when they spoke about the protests in Portland in 2016, I knew it was them, because they had word for word said this to me before. All that being said, I am done. I'm done. I'm done paying your medical bills. I'm done helping you every time you reach out, begging for support, begging for money, saying you're being unfairly penalized by some system. I am done being the shoulder for you to cry on when you get evicted or something goes wrong in your life. I am done giving you $13,000 in 1 year because you immediately go on Twitter and brag about how stupid I am for trusting you. How it's so funny that I am giving you money after you ask for money because you're right. I am fucking stupid. I am. All they're supposed to write. But I finally fucking love myself enough now to know I don't deserve that shit. And I will never have you in my life again. Never. Nothing could happen that will make me want to be anywhere near you. The second person who came out against me is Kevin Adam Coulter, who was someone I used to be friends with years ago for about a year. However, we knew each other and knew of each other for a lot longer. He goes by the moniker Coultergeist on social media, and you might know him as the guy who stated privately that talking to me was too triggering, and then immediately went to making memes about my cancellation. Kevin is a person who I tried to contact last year for some closure. He had previously manipulated me, assaulted me, and gone out of his way to convince me that people in my life hated me, so I should isolate myself and cut them off. He tried to break up 2 relationships I was in, both with Anthony and a different boyfriend, Richard, and he knew how to manipulate me better than anyone else. He would constantly call me, telling me he was depressed, begging me to come over. And when I got there, I would call him, asking where he was, and he would tell me he left to hang out with other people. He lived about an hour away, and this was like a nearly daily thing. When we smoked hookah, he would ash the coal off on me physically because he said I made a funny noise when I got burnt. And when my brother died, he told me that I was too sad to hang out around him and to call him when I was over it. Kevin, like everyone else, just said a bunch of things. No evidence. And it also doesn't make sense for him to have witnessed anything, given that we weren't friends when the majority of the harassment took place, according to Emily. We had already stopped being friends, according to the timeline. However, I don't know if Kevin himself actually did anything to Emily, seeing as he was the one in my life who did know a lot about what was going on with her. He watched all her channels. But I do know he did similar things to his ex-girlfriends. Kevin would hack his girlfriend's Facebook pages, or they would just log on his accounts and he would go back into them in order to see who they were talking to. He'd go on their YouTube pages to see what they were posting, and he would generally just fuck with everything on their pages. He did this to me a couple times, sending people Facebook messages from my account to fuck with my friendships, and he blocked people on my account that he didn't want me to talk to. This is him doing it to me, like sending me messages from a different friend's account. This is why every person in my life hated him and was stoked when we finally weren't friends. This is also why when Kevin said in his last message that he got pretty cyber-stalkery before, I didn't have a huge reaction to it. I just said, you know what, I understand. If you're in a better place now and if I don't want to trigger you, that's fine. Because he had gone cyber-stalkery before in my presence with his exes. And I thought that meant he changed, but alas, no. It's over. I am done. I am not coming back to YouTube. I have learned that the only people I can count on in my life are the people who actually know me. And if a random person comes online and states I stalked them with quite sincerely no evidence and literally posts on their active accounts that disprove that, people I genuinely admired and loved would just go with it and decide, yeah, that makes sense. 2 people who I barely know anymore, who literally have years of statements online, public, saying they hate me, and they don't really know, they came and coincided this bullshit. Meanwhile, literally, no one in my life, no active friend of mine, not one friend who I'm actually close to, came forward and said, here's evidence of Shannon doing it. No one presented any evidence that holds up even a little bit to speculation. None. Which is why every lawyer, every police officer, every PI that Emily took this to immediately said she didn't have a case. Meanwhile, every lawyer I went to said I did and was eager to pursue this. And to all the people who were like, Shannon went away because she's scared of being sued. Emily couldn't have sued me. She couldn't have. I didn't do anything. Even if she tried. I said I would address Tipster, so this is for him. Tipster said that if I was able to prove that I didn't do what I was being accused of, that he would apologize to me. And to that, I say, fuck you. You disgusting person. You maliciously attacked my husband because you yourself couldn't scroll down far enough on Emily's Instagram and find the multiple posts that debunk her story that are still live. You're a journalist, but you just couldn't do that. There is a reason your content gets fewer and fewer views than everyone else in the YouTube commentary community, and you keep being beat out by everyone else. And that's because it's terrible, lazy, and reductive. You should rename your channel Secondhand News, because you can't be fucked to actually research anything before you open your ugly mouth. You watch someone else's video and you say what they said worse than they said it. You aren't a reporter, you're not a journalist, you're a joke. Just know that you are a terrible person, and you can take that forgiveness and just fuck it. Just fuck that forgiveness right off. You are just as bad as Emily, if not worse, for supporting a mob with no evidence while claiming to do all this research and claiming to care about your friends or anything. I talked to you so many times, and you once cried on stream saying if Shannon was in trouble, she would tell me not to defend her because she's a good person. And when I told you not to do that, you were like, well, that's fine, she's guilty. Even though there's evidence to say I'm not, and no evidence to say I am. To the people who reached out, who said, I don't care if you did it, still love your content, don't leave YouTube, I love you. You're weird. Don't say that to me ever fucking again. Do not reach out to me ever again. That is not comforting. I spent all my time trying to help victims of what I was actually accused of, and to be told that my audience doesn't care about that is insane. To the people who told me to kill myself, better luck next time. Thanks for playing. And to everyone else, go touch some fucking grass. I am done. I'm fucking done.